Okay, we're back on Nanodosing. Arian's in studio today.
What's happening?
Arian's here all week, or at least through Wednesday.
Yeah, I leave Wednesday.
Leaving on Wednesday. You got in last night.
I did get in last night.
How was the flight?
Anxiety free.
Let's go.
Yeah,
okay.
Man, it's getting good.
Progress.
What I found was I've completely changed my diet, going back to what made me really good at football. Ate clean the last 3-4 weeks. Worked out almost every day. Light workout. I ain't doing the shit I used to do, but it's just light workout. Drinking a lot of water. No alcohol. No caffeine. Cut all that shit out. Heart palpitations have subsided. I feel stress-free. Anxiety has left for majority of it, but
good clean living.
Good clean living, man. Cleaned up my nightlife.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, I agree that that exercise really helps with anxiety.
Yeah.
It's the last thing that you want to do sometimes when you're feeling really anxious is get up and go for a run, go to the gym. Yeah. But if you do it consistently, it does make the rest of your day so much better.
Golfing, man.
There you go.
Golfing has saved me.
Being outside.
Yeah, you get to be outside. You get to walk a little bit, and when you walk a course, it's like 6+ miles.
Yeah,
it ain't no light. You know what I mean? So it's just a cool, easy way to, burn some calories because it just feels good too.
Yeah, and you get the vitamin D from the sun while you're out there.
Yeah,
yeah, it is good exercise. Now, when I go golfing, I usually just use a cart. And then I drink a lot of beer, so that kind of defeats most of it. But the way you're doing it,
it's good. It's a good way. It's good. Plus, I'm getting nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Like I said the other day, I hit 2 birdies. I'm just getting to that point where it's like I can score. My shots are starting to get to the point where it's like I can direct them where I want to go. If they don't, it's not supposed to go that because usually when I first started, it was like if I hit a good shot, I'm hyped. If it flies, I'm hyped. If I don't top it, I'm hyped. Now it's like I can start to kind of direct them, and I feel like in the next 3-4 months, man, I'm gonna start being mid to low 80s.
Let's go.
Consistently, yeah.
Let's go. I went to the range last. I'm podcasting through a golfing injury. You see that?
Yeah.
See that blister?
You're holding that shit too tight, bro.
It's gnarly. Well, I'm also not very good, so that might have something to do. Does anybody wear 2 gloves like Teddy Bridgewater?
There was one guy they called him Tommy Two Gloves, but I don't think he was that good.
I'm not that good either, so maybe I'll bring back.
You just don't hold it that tight. You're not supposed to. That's part of it, actually.
I also hit probably 150, 200 balls yesterday.
Look at you go though, yeah.
So
dedication.
That might have something to do with it.
Yeah. I asked you if I wanted to bring the clubs. We didn't have to go to a course. We can go to the driving range or something.
Yeah, we could go to the driving range for sure. There's a place around here where you can do the simulator inside, but I think that they goose those numbers. I think that they tell you that you're hitting it way further.
If they have a TrackMan, it's accurate.
It is?
Yeah, those TrackMans are like 20 racks though, so I don't know if a company's gonna invest in that shit.
I think they might have a TrackMan at this place.
TrackMans are very accurate. Yeah.
All right. We might have to hit up the simulator or maybe the driving range at some point this week.
Also, we got a ton more of YouTube content coming, so we got some plans for that. Stay tuned. So smash that subscribe button.
Yo, what disease do you have, fam? Let's get into that.
Okay, yeah. So
it's rather shocking.
You know that we thought that you were lying about this.
Do you know that I podcasted that whole day on Tuesday, that very long day? Turns out I was having an allergic reaction of some time the whole time.
Chair, man.
No, it's an allergic reaction.
It's funny. I walked in the studio today, and the first thing that I heard was Billy going, "I'm not contagious." That's always a nice way to start your day.
So I still don't 100% know what's going on, but basically I had to go to the ER after that recording. I went to the city MD and I was like, "Can you guys give me some across the street?" That closed at 8.
Yeah.
You can check, so that's why I had to leave. And then they told me, they're like, "Yo."
Let's be fair though, Billy. That's not the ER.
No, the city MD then sent me to the ER.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They were like, "We can't deal with this. This is like
Have you shown him your back today?
No.
Show me your back.
You gotta show it to him.
Can we get Billy? Put the camera on Billy.
Yeah,
No,
wait.
I don't want to show my back.
Show me your back in that chair.
Show PFT your back.
Oh wow.
Isn't that gross?
Got a constellation on his back.
Yeah.
I didn't show
I
you
ain't
the
fucking
camera.
with them dogs and
No,
frogs
it
and
wasn't
shit.
that. It wasn't that.
Yes, it is, bro.
I'll tell you the whole
you
story.
say you don't know what it is. How you know what it is?
Well,
They're not
I have
that.
an idea of what it is.
Okay,
What if you're
So-
allergic to dogs?
No, I'm not.
I
So
love that.
basically, after
I'll take Whitey.
like basically on Wednesday, I was just cleaning everything because I was like, "Oh, there's fleas, right?" But so basically, where I live, there was a water main break, and there was a boil water in effect. So either my drinking of that water or so my sheets, which I thought how I got the fleas that I just brought back from the washing laundromat.
Mm-hmm.
Either the laundromat put stuff in it, so because they wanted to make sure the water was extra clean, so they like put a ton more bleach or a ton more stuff.
Wait, I'm gonna do some CSI shit on you right now.
Yeah,
some investigation work. You're saying that you got the rash from the sheets that you washed because you thought those sheets had fleas on them.
Right.
So I'm putting together the timeline real quick.
Yeah.
You got the rash before you took the sheets to the laundromat.
Yes, but
okay.
But so I washed my sheets over the weekend when there was the boil water in effect. And then
you washed them again.
I washed them again, which then compounded 2 nights of when I thought, because I was kind of thinking I was going to be able, I took my dog to the groomers, and because I've never taken him to the groomers, he doesn't have fancy hair or anything. First time at the groomers, I got a call 20 minutes after dropping him off. The groomer's like, this dog doesn't have fleas.
Why would you take your dog to a drag brunch?
That was funny.
Never mind.
Yeah.
That's just a little timely. That's just a little topical humor right there.
He already got neutered.
I don't actually believe that drag brunches groom children.
But so then I'm like, what the fuck? So I was sitting here. I don't know what it is. I think it was the detergent or something, or just from drinking the water, because I definitely did drink some of the water while the boil water in effect was going on.
Did you know that before?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I
How's
woke
your
up.
throat?
Throat's fine, but like it's definitely contact of some sort, because like where I'm getting, and then how I figured it out is I picked up my laundry and I put on a clean pair of underwear, and then the rash, after going to the ER, the rash came back only where the underwear was.
So on your dick.
And
That's
ass.
where
ass.
Where the underwear
All right, so it's a big mystery.
So it's me being too clean.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
the
know,
problem.
It's just something with the dirty water. But like I went to the ER, I took my shoes off because they were itching as fuck.
It looked like you were gonna get your leg amputated.
Yeah, it swole up to the side. Like my right foot was just gigantic.
Has it gotten any better?
Yes,
Okay.
It's gone down. Like so, basically, I went there. By the way, the bill's definitely gonna fucking suck. But never mind. But like, I want to talk about Toradol, because that shit fucking works.
Yeah, real quick. I'm looking at these bleach allergic reaction pictures. I'm not a doctor.
So does it not look like what Billy has?
Nah, this looks more rashy. That looks more like
It's like spots.
constellation-y.
I gotta tell you that it's gone down a good bit since it happened.
You got pictures of the inception.
Yes,
When it
but
was-
Does
the
Billy have cordyceps?
Yeah, Billy's infected. Billy's gonna turn into
Yeah.
a clicker.
yeah,
That's
But-
scary.
it was like I still don't know what I'm allergic to, and what sucks. Like,
Do an allergen test.
well, but you can't. Like, you need to wait like a week after having any antihistamines. So it wasn't fleas, which is kind of good, but it would have been easier to figure
I
out.
must say kind of good.
That one that's on your
Yeah, I
arm
was
right there
just gonna
that
say,
I can
Billy, there's
see.
one on your
Okay,
arm.
that-
That's a perfect circle.
I know.
That's
Do you have-
ringworm,
It's
bro.
not
Is it
ringworm.
ringworm?
It's
Bro, got
not ringworm.
I'm not
It's
dapping
ringworm.
you up the whole
I was
week.
in the ER. They were like, it's an allergic reaction. Don't know what it was. But I had to say, I podcast that whole day, like having hives, allergic reaction, and like low key throat was closing up a little bit.
As your
that
flu,
day.
as your flu
Thank
game?
you to Billy.
It was like, so you were talking about your podcasting injury.
How's
I
his
was
flu- how's his
itching
flu
my
game?
ass off.
You see the size of this blister?
Do you know how much Benadryl? Oh, I saw the Hat Man too. They gave me Benadryl, like a ton of Benadryl and the
Who's
Toradol.
that hat man?
The Hat Man. You guys have never heard of the Hat Man?
No.
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 No, like it's like
I
a
assume he sells hats. That's
no. It's like
Okay.
when you take Benadryl sometimes and you wake up in the middle of the night and you have like, and then you see like a figure standing in your doorway.
What are you talking
The
about?
Hat Man.
What?
I googled the Hat Man, and it's a TikTok thing apparently. So
Oh.
No, everyone's seen the Hat
Everyone
Man.
has not seen
Like,
the
you
hat
know,
man.
like you know when you wake up in the middle of the night, it's kind of like a sleep paralysis demon.
So you had a
I've heard
sleep
of that.
paralysis episode.
I've had sleep paralysis before. I
No.
don't think I saw the Hat Man.
No, the Hat Man's like the weird like thing that you think's in your room when you wake up. So it's like in the ER.
I've never heard of the Hat Man.
They hit me with Toradol first, and that, like, imagine your whole body was like itching and hurting, and your foot was swelling at the same time. Got the Toradol, and it went away like within like 10 minutes, and it was the greatest feeling on earth. Imagine itching all day and like feeling terrible all day, and then in 10 minutes it just all dissipates, and you feel amazing.
Yeah, so I have taken Toradol extensively. I attribute my entire career to Toradol. If it wasn't for Toradol, I wouldn't have played in the half of the games I played. It's just a amazing substance if you want to alleviate pain for a short amount of time. It's not a narcotic, so it doesn't like leave you all woozy and shit.
You don't feel any different mentally?
No, not at all. So 2010, I broke my collarbone against the Cowboys, I think game 3. And the next game we played the Raiders, I shot up Toradol in my right arm because the whole week I had to carry the ball like high and tight because I couldn't like extend my arm to run because shit was broke. You can feel it right now. My shit's still broke. Well, the heel broken. And I shot Toradol up every game that year, the rest of that year, but I couldn't feel it. There was no pain.
That year, you won the rushing title.
I did.
With 1,616 rushing yards.
Yep.
And you had 604 receiving yards, breaking the record set by Priest Holmes for more yards from scrimmage ever by an undrafted player.
Yep.
And you went to the Pro Bowl, thanks to Toradol.
Yes. So thank you, Toradol. And now I'm on this lovely podcast with y'all.
That's wonderful.
I wake up and golf every day.
Who knows if you would be on Macrodosing if it wasn't for Toradol?
There's no telling, man. I don't know.
Does that have that sounds like too good to be true? Are there like long term effects from it?
There's like
of course, it's horrible for your liver. It's just like any like alcohol stuff like that. It's ruins your liver. I think kidneys too. But it's why it was laughable when the NFL was like cracking down on weed, and I'm like, yo, the shit you pump us with every fucking game to play is like 1,000 times worse than weed. Y'all are clowns.
I'm looking at your stats from that year. Week 1 against the Colts.
I balled, fam.
34-24. You guys won. You ran the ball 33 times, 231 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good game.
Yeah, I killed.
That's really good. 33. Can you tell waking up the next day if you carried the ball 33 times?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Especially against like a defense. Colts, they were built for Peyton Manning. So they were built for third downs. So
yeah,
they
Dwight Freeney,
and Robert Mathis, which I spaced on the name in the trivia that one time, but I got it at the end. So they were built to like third down rush, right? They weren't really built to Bob Sanders. I don't know if you remember him. He was a killer.
Yeah.
So a team like that, not as stout at run D, but I played against the Ravens. I played against Chicago Bears, with Urlacher, shit like that. There was one of the toughest players I've ever played against was linebacker Witherspoon for the Falcons.
Sean Witherspoon.
Yeah, man, he was a banger, dog. Like I used to go have battles with him. Like that defense, I had like 31 carries and maybe 90, 100 yards. It wasn't a lot, but it was like one of the most, that shit, you felt that shit.
Yeah, I'm looking at these stats. In that loss, you guys lost to the Cowboys.
We lost a lot that year.
You had 106 yards rushing. That's when you broke your collarbone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the very next week against the Raiders, you had 133 yards rushing.
Yeah. And I sat the whole first half.
And 56 yards receiving.
Mm-hmm. And they sat me the first half.
And they sat you the first half.
I missed the meeting.
Really?
Yeah. I got faded Wednesday night. I got super faded and just didn't wake up, bro. One of the dudes, my name Sean Washington. Shout out to Sean Washington. He was knocking on my door at like 8:30, and the meeting was at 8. He was like, "Man, get up, man. He opened the door. I think my door was open.
So like in your apartment?
Yeah, I was standing in the apartment. I was undrafted. So
yeah. And so he
But,
knew he went there to find you.
Yeah, they went to find me.
And
they found me. I was like, "Oh, I thought it was at 9." And you wake up with a shitty excuse. I thought it was at 9. Bro, the meeting been 8 for 8 years.
And so
this was after you broke your collarbone?
Yeah.
So you got
Yeah.
You were entertaining clients that night.
I had a lot of clients there saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened with Billy. He went out on a Wednesday night and then missed a Thursday morning podcast.
Damn.
We sat him for a half.
Well, I didn't actually miss it.
A month.
I got in from far away.
Yeah.
You-
If I wasn't balling that year, I'd have got cut.
Billy, what have we talked about accountability on this show?
No,
Still?
I did not make it to the office. But
Yes. So you did miss it.
I
yes.
did, but I was on it.
You missed. Yeah. So if Zoom had existed, then Arian would have just zoomed in,
Yeah,
to
zoomed in for the meeting.
But it didn't. And then, all right. So I'm looking at your stats this year. Pretty good year that you put up, thanks to the magic of Toradol.
That's all pro year, fam.
And they tell you, yeah, I was like pretty good.
I'm
Like,
just saying. It doesn't
check
get-
yourself as all
doesn't
pro.
get better than first
Pro
team all
Bowler.
pro. Yeah.
So how many shots are you allowed to take over the course of a year?
I don't know. I know they started to limit it when I was exiting. I don't know now. But I know when I was there, I would get it before the game and then halftime.
Oh, you get two?
Yeah,
My guess is they probably don't let you do that anymore.
probably because people started. I mean, older cats you start to feel the effects of that shit. Like,
Yeah.
Is it like a contact? Like wherever you're hurting, they just shoot it there?
yeah. Like I know because that same year I tore my meniscus in preseason, and I played through it. And so originally I was taking a Toradol for that, and so instead of taking it, I used to shoot in the glute. So I used to shoot in my glute, and so instead of that, after the Cowboy game, they started shooting in my arm.
Damn.
Yeah.
It works.
What's better, Toradol or morphine?
No, Toradol just makes pain go away.
What's more effective?
Well,
I guess
depends-
it's still
depends-
morphine,
It depends
but
on the
like-
goal. It depends on the goal.
It sounds like Toradol works really well.
Oh, absolutely does. It absolutely does. But morphine works 1,000 times better if you want to feel amazing. Toradol just makes you feel regular,
Right.
and I guess that's the thing. Yeah, like I haven't felt regular body since I don't know high school. Like I wake up with pain. Like I'm just used to pain. That's another reason why I used to drink a lot was because it makes pain go away. I'm gonna turn this into a therapy session. Sorry, guys.
No, it does.
Also emotional, guy.
Yeah. It just makes you totally numb.
It's facts though.
The one time I got a Toradol shot was actually this September. It was right after Billy broke my rib, throwing that pass that I caught with my body in
You got
Tennessee.
a Toradol shot for that?
Or fractured the rib cartilage. Yeah, remember I sent the picture to the group chat
Yeah.
of them giving me the injection
I didn't
Yeah.
realize that was Toradol.
into my
I
left
thought
arm.
it was another booster.
No, they gave it to me into my left arm, and it didn't really affect. I didn't feel the effects like you guys have, which tells me that maybe it was partially in my head. I don't know, because like I remember my entire arm went like super warm. It just
Yeah.
feels really warm for a while,
Ugh.
but the pain that I was having wasn't really affected by it. So maybe I just wasn't that injured to begin with, and I was just thinking that I don't know, who knows what was happening.
Yeah. I was just talking to the nurse because I was like kind of freaked out. I was like, what are you giving me right now? Just because I wanted to know. And then she was like, Toradol. And I was like, oh, that's the football one.
Yeah, it's a great way. It's a great way to get kids to take medicine. To just tell them like this is what football players take.
No,
okay.
but I could 100% see how that could get abused. Like if I had a nagging injury, like I'd just be
I figured
Yeah.
you requested the Toradol.
no. I wasn't. I was like I didn't know what was going on. It was kind of scary.
You still don't.
Yeah, but like it's gone down now. It's definitely some sort of allergic reaction, and they gave me all these like steroidal anti-inflammatories. So
Well, good luck, Billy.
yeah.
I hate seeing you like this.
Yeah.
It is very funny though,
It's
so
like-
I don't
It's
totally
pretty
hate
common.
it.
It's
kind
kinda
of
funny.
on brand. Honestly.
If it wasn't
Yeah.
funny, I don't know. That's how you deal with things like that.
I said it in the extra dosing, but I got a text from Billy on Wednesday morning. We were supposed to film the extra dosing, and he was just like, "Hey, what?" It was like at 1:30 a.m. Hey, what time do you want me to come in this morning? I just got out of the ER, and I was like, "Are you like
straight dog?
good?"
That's Billy's way of feeling it out to make sure like are you sure you don't want to just put this off?
Right. And
No,
I was
I
like, I asked, I was like, "Are you okay to like come in? Like, what's wrong?" And he was like, No, I'm totally fine. They just like shot me up with Benadryl. And I was like, "Okay, let's go."
I was just trying to figure out when to set my alarm because like I had been in the ER all night and I was like, well, it's gonna be hard to wake up tomorrow morning. Like
Mm-hmm.
one of those.
Alarms don't work for me anymore, man. I don't need it. I wake up every morning around the same time.
So you just don't need an alarm.
Yeah,
Like
That's
your body
kinda
clock
wild.
is very
yeah.
regulated.
I just get up, and I never really have needed one. Like if I wasn't drinking the night before, I'd always get up like pretty early. But then I'd go back to sleep if I didn't have anything to do.
Your body would know that it's time to get up.
Yeah, but hey, fam, sun's up.
Yep. That's good. Big T, what's up? What's good with you? How was the weekend?
I thought it was going to be good, but it was average.
So that's great.
That's great.
good,
Yeah, no, it was good, but I thought it was going to be like a really good one. It was average. It was fun.
So what happened that made it not as good as you thought it was going to be?
I went to a soccer game Saturday. I thought that was going to be like really fun, but it was freezing cold and it ended 0-0, so it wasn't that good of a time. UT lost, and yeah, so it was
Ziegler's hurt.
Yeah, that happened earlier in the week. But yeah, it was average. It was fine.
Okay, that's good.
Went to Wogie's, great spot.
Awesome
Love
wings.
Wogie's.
That made Saturday great.
You went to the one in the Village?
Wogie sounds like a coin. What is Wogie?
Some of my favorite wings in New York City.
It's a cute sports bar.
Great.
Is it
I
cute?
ran it-
spot.
I think it's cute. I ran into Big T there one time. We chatted it up.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
I went there the maybe first or second weekend that I was in New York City
Ever?
and I just stopped in. I had no idea what to expect from the place, and it was just mind-blowingly good wings.
Great stuff.
And the server,
I mean, mind-blowingly good. I mean, I'm glad you had it.
best wings I've had in New York City.
We can
Let's
go.
go.
Let's go.
Mind-blowingly. I mean, I would
Very good.
love to, but I'm on this kick right now where it's like the April abs are coming.
Yeah?
I don't know if you can tell. The camera shows it, but I'm feeling.
You do look good.
I'm feeling good.
You
You're
look
glowing.
great.
I'm
Yeah.
good. It's amazing right now.
You-
So I don't want to fuck it up with wings and
You-
Wogies.
But it's
You're-
chicken. It's protein.
The skin
Fried
on your
chicken is
face
not-
looks great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you look like the picture of health right now.
Would you tell me if I didn't?
No, I'd just be
See-
like, I'd wait till you leave and be like, Arian looks like
That looks
shit.
fucked up, man.
Yeah.
I hope he's okay.
No, you look good. You got that spark. You're feeling good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Last couple times I was here, it was bad, man. I was podcasting through trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you're back.
yeah, me too, man.
It's good to have you back.
The
I don't wanna
next-
fuck it up with wings though.
The next like 3 weekends though, elite
In terms of
conference tournaments,
wing consumption weekends.
just overall enjoyment.
Yeah.
Conference tournaments, NCAA tournament.
This time of year is one of my favorite times of year because like you start getting that like smell in the morning where it's like spring,
Mm-hmm.
and then
I know
like
what you mean.
it kind of gets you like I don't know what it is, but like you start to get like amped up and like hyper,
Yeah.
and then like it's
Next Thursday is the last time the sun will set before 7 p.m. until September.
Let's go.
I
We
love
made
that
it,
shit. More
guys.
golf.
Yeah. That's very true. So Billy, I know what you're saying. Sometimes like the anticipation of spring coming is even better than the actual spring because it feels like there's light at the end of the tunnel
Yeah.
after winter. But there was always up here, not so much, but when I was growing up in Virginia, there's always like one rogue March snowstorm that comes in and fucks you all up after you think that spring is coming.
That's an East Coast thing I ain't never really dealt with before.
It's not good.
no, but
Yeah.
if you get that sun, as long as there's that sun, and then like I don't know, your like buddies want to go play pickup basketball, and like you can do outdoor activities again.
That's why I fucked with Tennessee so hard. The state was because you get every season, and that smell you talking about, bruh, it's just one of the best places to have all seasons because you get the snow, you get the summer, you get the spring and the falls. It's just gorgeous. The springs are gorgeous out there.
Mhm.
Dog. Oh my god,
You know what's great on college campus? Not to sound too horny, but this is going to sound really horny.
yeah, it's gonna be horrible.
Pre-ball.
The like first somewhat nice day of spring that you get on campus.
Sundress season?
Sundress season.
My dog.
Sundress season. Yeah.
Already.
Sundress season.
Darty season, yeah.
Already.
I want
That's
that
what it is,
clap
St.
to be a
Patrick's
gift.
Day.
I'm gonna gift that. The smile on your face was great.
I was literally going to say sundress
Hey, man,
season.
Sundress season is
Yeah.
where it's at, dog.
It's a good day.
Yeah, especially on HBCUs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
What the fuck?
Do they do sundress
Make the
season different?
milkshakes a little thicker down there. I'm just saying.
Bonk, bonk.
You bonk me all day.
I went at James Madison, which is as close to like a HWCU as you can possibly get.
Miami might beat you for that.
Maybe, yeah. It was still a great day.
Except I just realized I'm 36 and me talking about college girl sundress. It ain't it.
No, but
I just realized that.
no,
it was memories.
Yeah,
though.
we're
okay.
experiencing.
Okay, I like that.
I wouldn't
like
go
that.
back there right now and be like, "Fuck yeah!"
You know what?
sundresses.
I had that. That's why I was like, hold on, fam. But I had that moment this morning, so I was scrolling on my Instagram and there was this video of Rihanna talking about her inspirations, and it was like 17-year-old Rihanna. I was like, God damn, and I was like, God damn, she's 17. I should not like this. But I
Yeah.
mean, when she was 17, I was younger, so that
Yeah.
makes sense. So in my mind, that's a weird.
That's fine.
There's some gray area there.
No, it's fine. I mean,
Right.
if you're experiencing the memory through how you felt when you
Yeah.
were that same age.
Yeah, it was a weird moment actually.
I was talking to Mad Dog about this after we recorded last Wednesday because they were going to get into the Last of Us episode, it's so creepy to think that
Oh,
the girl from Game of Thrones that's in Last of Us, and then the main character guy, they have very explicitly like a father-daughter relationship in that show where he's like her guardian. But the difference in age of those actors in real life, that's what Leonardo DiCaprio has with his girlfriend.
Yo.
Like that's really fucking creepy that Leo, how old is Leo now?
50.
40.
He's 50.
Is he 50?
50, bro.
Probably.
48.
And 48 and he's dating
A
18 and 19-year-olds?
That shit
Dude,
wild.
I would
That's-
feel weird
That's
dating.
there was
19.
this
really
That's what I
creepy.
said.
I seen somebody do like a timeline of all his girlfriends. They've all been like,
Then he dumps him at 25.
yeah, like some real predator type vibes.
It actually is. Like he gets a pass because he's known as a heartthrob and
He's all like climate activist and shit. Like he's trying to do the right thing. But
Yeah.
like, that's weirdo shit, man.
it's very, very strange. Like a 19-year-old. Yeah, Billy, like for you, if you dated a 19-year-old
That would be weird.
and you're 24,
yeah,
that wouldn't be that weird though.
it's not that weird. It's not that
no.
weird, but it'd be strange.
Dude, imagine bringing her around your friends and
But-
she can't drink.
I would say if it was
Like-
if it was
That's where his mind goes
no,
immediately.
no,
I
but
can't
like,
drink around you.
no,
You're a
but,
liability.
like then you're like, no, but imagine like you're all going to a bar like with like a friend group and your girlfriend can't get in. That
Yeah.
like that's just like, that's just weird.
I think it's not as weird because women are way more mature than men, especially at that age.
True.
But like that, like this, you're not that mature at 19 as a 50-year-old. Like, what do you have in common? What are we talking about?
Absolutely nothing.
We Netflixing and chilling. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
I was telling PFT, like to put it in perspective, most of her high school experience was shaped by COVID.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
dog.
It's creepy.
That's crazy.
But
dog.
quick thing on Leo, that might be a beard thing. That's what a lot of theory in Hollywood is.
fam, what?
Like
A beard
there-
is
He
Like-
might be gay.
yeah, that's been very well known.
That Leo's
Is it?
gay?
No, like that's like I'm not crazy.
It's been.
You
I'm
say
gonna be
beard?
real, I haven't heard
Do you
that.
say beard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a beard is a heterosexual partner that someone has to disguise the fact that in real life that they're gay. So
Oh,
like
I've never heard of this.
if Leonardo DiCaprio is gay, let's say, he's dating all of these women to distract from the fact that he's actually gay and is dating men in his private life.
Or like how Tom Cruise, it's been speculated, and John
He's gay?
Travolta that he's gay. Yeah, that they're gay. No idea if it's true or not, but there's a lot of rumors. I haven't heard that about Leo.
Hold on,
But
is there,
the
is there
girl-
any, I've never heard about Leo either.
We started that rumor back when I was in 8th grade, just because my friends and I were so pissed off that every girl in our class loved Leonardo DiCaprio. We're like, what am I, chopped liver? We
Yes.
all had like braces.
Actually, I
I'm
mean,
way hotter than Leonardo DiCaprio. He's gay. You don't want to date him.
no, because the thing is,
Date
like,
me. I'm 5'2".
since he plays a lot of leading men, that like if he wasn't straight, then he wouldn't get the roles and like he wouldn't have the heartthrob status that he achieved through like Romeo and Juliet.
No,
It's just a theory.
wait, was he in Romeo and Juliet?
He
Oh,
was,
yeah,
yeah.
he killed
The-
that shit.
Sorry,
You haven't
I-
seen that one?
That was a
Uh-uh.
sick movie.
That's,
was.
he killed that shit. That
John
shit.
Leguizamo, Claire Danes.
Yeah, and like that whole riot scene in the beginning was like pretty
That's
awesome.
it. I love that rendition of Romeo
Yeah.
and Juliet. That shit was fire.
Wasn't Claire Danes?
I don't know Claire Danes.
I feel like she was 16 or 17
shit.
when they filmed
No,
that.
That
you
was
watch
in the
Homeland,
OG Romeo and Juliet. That's actually that movie is technically child pornography.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Yeah, the original one with like the dude who looks like really like Zac Efron. Like if you look up the original Romeo and Juliet movie,
When you say original,
like it's like the first one. It was in the 60s.
I don't.
If you
remember
look
that.
at the leading guy, he looks almost exactly like Zac Efron. And I'm thinking that when they were doing High School Musical, they chose Zac Efron because he looked like that guy.
but you know that Claire Danes was in the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
I don't know,
she
but
was.
I know
she's not old enough to have acted in a movie from the 60s.
I know, but
talent, though.
the
That fucker
girl
can act, dog.
the girl in this movie is 16, and they have like a scene where she's like exposed.
Yeah, I mean, even the Claire Danes one, there were a lot of bedroom scenes, and it was at the time. I think I was probably like 14 or 15,
Paul
so I didn't
Rudd
really
was
realize
in
it.
this. I didn't. Wow. Paul Rudd was
Yeah.
in Romeo and Juliet. I don't remember him.
Yeah, wasn't
Yeah, he was Count Paris.
Wow.
So 1990. Yeah, I was 11 when it came out, so I didn't think that there was anything weird about like the sex scenes with Claire Danes, and Leonardo DiCaprio. But
what
let's see.
what was the age discrepancy?
I'm about to look it up right now. So it was 1996 when it came out. Probably shot in 95. She was born in 79. So she was 16.
And he was around that too. Right?
Probably around that same age.
24, 25.
In the original story,
It's weird.
Because 96 was 27 years ago. He's 40. Oh, so he was like 21, 22.
That's still weird to be if you're
16.
you're 21 and you're doing a love scene with a 16-year-old.
That's
in the OG, like
wild. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like okay, now I'm on team Hollywood is a bunch of pedophiles.
That's wild.
I've been radicalized.
Well, I think
Over the
entertainment has just been that for years. Because when you go back, even in times like it's always been that. Like so, Shakespeare used to hire like young boys for girl roles.
yeah.
That's weird.
In the original writing, Romeo is 16 and Juliet is 13.
Yeah.
In Shakespeare's
That's what I'm
writing.
saying. In olden times, that was there was no pedophilia. That was just normal. Like
Well, you also died when you were 40 years old.
that's true.
So maybe
I'm just stating facts, man. I didn't
Yeah.
make the rules. Right?
I mean,
there.
ancient Greece was just like
Yeah, all the old philosophers, they was pervs too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like I remember we learned that Socrates was arrested for corrupting the youth,
yeah.
and we were taught that it was because he was asking too many questions. He was making them question authority in society too much. I'm pretty sure Socrates was just banging them out too.
There was no rules back then. There was no cameras.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some crazy shit that went down, dog,
Yeah,
all the time. Like I would venture to say a lot of people that when you do the genealogy that you think is in your family might not be in your family. Well, if you do the genealogy, they are. But as far as like, oh, my great uncle is whoop de whoop, might not be because there's no way telling unless you do the tests.
yeah.
Because I know there was tipping. Because like I know there was some housewives in the 50s that was doing some bad stuff just because they felt abused, they felt unwanted and unloved and whoop de whoop. Back then, yeah, they was getting their rocks off.
Yeah.
Had to.
People have been fucking.
People be fucking.
Always. Yeah, Billy, you look
There
like
was a
something's on your
story.
mind.
No, there's a story about, like I was researching if that milkman story was true. That there was a milkman who like fathered a bunch of like kids with housewives in like the 50s, like the classic story.
Yeah.
And there was an example of a repairman who basically, women. There was a rumor going around if they were having trouble conceiving and like their husbands were infertile, that this guy would just like, it was like a known secret. This guy would get you pregnant.
He called the repairman.
Yeah. Like it was like there was a story. Let me find the exacts because I might be just speaking out of my ass, but
I doubt it. I choose to believe this one's true.
like that was the fertility clinic.
Just get one guy that you know shoots big loads.
That's like Handmaid's Tale's plot.
Is it?
It's
What is Handmaid's
Like-
Tale?
it's like a HBO show about like some dystopian future where like women are property again, but it's
There's so many people that are so mad at you right now listening to you say that
why?
because there's a book. It's like a very famous book.
Oh yeah. Well, the show.
Yeah.
whatever.
I was like,
Fuck me. I don't know. But I've only seen like a couple episodes of the show. It's so creepy. But they have it where if the wife can't get pregnant, they, basically like have sex, but instead of her vagina, the husband is like fucking some other lady. Like it's just like put in front of her, and then she carries the baby out. But it's like
what?
Yeah, it's surrogate.
surrogacy, but like it's
That's wild.
Mm-hmm. Power rank all the short stories and books that you had to read in high school, like the classic ones. Did you guys actually enjoy any of those?
The Village. Oh, wait, what was it
I
called?
liked Jekyll and Hyde.
Moby Dick was honestly my favorite book I read in high school.
It's pretty metal.
Yeah. But like the books we had to read in high school were like really out there. So like by the time we got to the traditional Moby Dick part of the curriculum, it was like the most normal book I had read.
Yeah.
That wasn't like some like, weird coming of age tale that I just had zero connection with.
Lord of the Flies. Were you a fan?
And you never had to read that, but I watched it. I watched the movie.
Yeah.
I can't find that shit anywhere, by the way. I haven't looked.
The movie?
Yeah, I used to like it.
I thought it was a good book.
Kill the pig, kill the pig.
Yeah. Piggy.
Piggy.
And his glasses.
Yeah.
That guy was a nerd. Got smoked. Spoiler alert.
Didn't they? Wait.
Oh, I guess it's on YouTube.
Let's see. What else did I like?
I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. That shit was fire.
The
Yeah.
Pearl.
I don't know that one.
Which was the
Steinbeck.
Pearl? Oh, Steinbeck one. I liked Old Man in the Sea.
Oh,
Yeah.
Of Mice and Men.
Oh yeah, tell me about the rabbits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a sad one.
It was a sad one.
Oh, what's the
Look at the mountains. My friends used to call me Lenny in high school.
They used to call you Lenny?
Yeah.
Why?
Really?
Why do you think they did that?
Joke. I
I read All Quiet in the Western Front. And I saw the movie. Good movie. I haven't seen too many new movies recently. That one, I'm giving the PFT stamp. Good film.
I didn't like the ending compared to the book ending
No?
because the whole point of it was when he died, it was supposed to be totally pointless and at the end of the war and just like any random quiet day. But
Yeah.
they like made this whole scene at the end. Like it was the whole point was he was supposed to die at the end to show how pointless war is and like how pointless his death was and how
Yeah.
it was like All Quiet was on the Western Front and then he just got shot right before the war ended. And like in the movie, they like put on this whole scene.
No, I mean, I when I watched it, I got that point. When they stole like chickens' eggs. They
Oh,
stole a bunch of
goose?
eggs. No, that was a different part. So the guy got shot when he stole
Yeah.
a bunch of chicken eggs after the war was essentially done, and then the kid killed him.
Yeah.
Spoiler. But yeah, it was extremely pointless. It's like the war's over. I think it happened right after they signed that peace treaty.
Right. But they had like the whole second charge of that one guy in the mansion. But like that in the book, it's supposed to be way, way more pointless so that you're like, there's no excitement towards it. It's just like, it's done.
We really fucked up by saying that was the war to end all wars. Talk about a jinx.
Yeah.
It's like, well, surely we'll never go to war again after this.
I don't think that's
Fast forward
ever going to be the case.
10 years, 15 years. It's a good movie, though. Good movie.
Yeah. We just kind of spoiled it.
Did we read The Diary of Anne Frank?
I did not read that.
I
I
didn't.
feel like I read that in school.
most people that would make
Yeah,
sense.
I think I did.
that's a pretty essential.
Yeah, I think I read that.
Yeah.
Shout
A lot
out
of
to
stuff
Anne
that
Frank.
had to
Recently, I don't know if it's true or not. It could be, but there was a video that was circulating of. They have video of her. Like there was some dude out there who got married or something like that. Who was getting married, and she's like waving her hand out the window. I don't know if that's true or not though.
What was the most recent internet argument about, like, Anne Frank had
Oh.
white privilege?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's time to log off.
That's wild.
Definitely time to log off when that's your take. There's a lot of bored people online.
That's a wild
how-
take. Actually.
Jesus.
That's a bad day on the internet.
That's a bad day on the internet.
Let's see other high school, middle school books that we
Death
were
of a
forced to read.
Salesman.
Death of a Good play.
Good play. Saw it as a play.
Yeah, very sad.
Depressing.
Really, they didn't make us read or watch anything uplifting. Everything was sad. They just tried to bum you out in high school.
Did you have to read Little Women?
I did not.
Neither did I. I feel like I wish I did.
I've never even heard of Little Women.
What?
What's Little Women?
It's a classic book about four sisters.
Four sisters.
That was one of those books that I literally just spark notes and just I couldn't do it.
Billy is so Amy March.
No, but like reading books like Little Women made when I was able to read Moby Dick so much better. 'Cause it was just like,
Finally
oh
some
my god,
dudes.
like
Yeah,
guys,
literally.
like what's this about? Oh, going to kill giant leviathans? Like
Yeah.
hell yeah! Like a bunch of dudes getting on a boat, throwing it out, getting over each other's differences,
Yeah.
and just like it's like almost like Remember the Titans type vibe on the Pequot.
Yeah.
I actually wrote a whole essay on it about how, like, in the book, there was better race relations on the boat in the crew than in the country at that time.
in a locker room together.
Yeah. Literally, I was like, the Pequod was a locker room. And this
Yeah.
was reflected in various different, like, stages of life.
I understand what you're saying. I like that take. What grade did you get on it?
I think it was my favorite. I think I got an A- in English that year.
Oh, nice. Are you looking it up right now?
Let me see if I can find
That's
it.
wild
Is
that
this high
if
school or
that you
college?
can, if you're 24 years old, you can just look up what grades you got in high school right now.
Wow.
Actually, I don't know if I can log into the portal
Yeah,
anymore.
there's no way I can.
Oh, you know what? They deleted my Google Drive.
Damn. I would have loved to read all your essays that
Me
were on
too.
file.
I know. I would have just published them as blogs.
Yeah, can you try to recover them?
Let me actually. I'm gonna email the IT person.
I would love to read your essay about Moby Dick and how it relates to.
I basically just related it to football.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah, I like it.
Can you log into your Canvas?
That does make sense
college
though.
stuff?
It makes sense
No.
at first, but when he said River to Titans, I was like, huh? But
Yeah, a lot
makes sense.
like
Yeah.
like a lot of times people's racism is founded in not knowing or not experiencing other people, other cultures, and then once you get to know people, then you're like, oh,
Bonding
They're cool.
through a similar traumatic experience.
that's also true.
Trauma
Like,
bond.
yeah,
We're all-
Which I don't like the term that much because it can have like a negative connotation.
sometimes it's not trauma though. Sometimes I would say like in sports, adversity that you deal with over the course of a season, whether it's like your coach makes you run too much a couple days, you're all puking together, you're working out together, you have losses together, wins together, just like experiencing all those emotions.
That's funny. Like if you're puking together, that's trauma, man.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. I guess so.
We just don't attribute it to because like sports makes you tough. This is kind of toxic shit that you have to kind of just push through.
Sometimes you just gotta puke.
I'm having trouble with that right now actually because like raising kids who are playing sports and the balance between like yo you need this shit versus like where did this come from? Where did this like macho shit like start and when can we do away with it?
It's like
that balance is hard.
compete to prove your self-worth to yourself.
Yeah.
Like people that get their entire personality or their like entire mindset off knowing that they're better at somebody else in a physical competition.
Well, I think the like my worldview is kind of like the antithesis of the goal of sports. Honestly, is like so the whole competitive conquer and like I'm the best. I understand it because I came from that mode, and that's the mindset I had to do. Like I remember before games, you literally had to like go into this mindset of like, yo, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody out there. Like that I'm just anger, like, and that's the antithesis of who I am as a human.
Mm-hmm.
And so like trying to get your kids to understand and compartmentalize those emotions is really weird. It's a weird tightrope to walk. Because at the end of the day, you're still raising good human beings that try to be productive members of society and good people. But at the end of the day, like sports is like this subset of like, this is where you can relinquish all your goodness and be a dick, and it's heralded. You know what I mean? Because like, for example, like, so my son, he's really nice at basketball. He's 8 years old. He be going down the court like, step back with the jumper, right? Really nice. Like he made his All-Star game, which was his All-Star game on Sunday. And they sat him because he was taunting the other players. So like he would score on them, cross him up, go lay it up, and he'll do that little,
Too small
shit to all the little kids.
Uh-huh.
I think it's fucking hilarious. But they're like, you're showboating with the whoop. And I'm like, I mean, he's having fun. I don't really look at it like he's fucking with the other. He don't really know what he's doing. He's not, he's just having fun. He sees NBA players doing it, so he's doing it.
Yeah.
And so like, that balance of like, I've never really believed in sportsmanship in general. So that's out the window. I just believe it's more like, let the kids have fun, right?
Yeah. Have you seen that video of the youth basketball team that's doing all that stuff?
Yeah, they got whopped.
They did get crushed.
They got whopped.
So I think you're okay to do that, but also when it happens to you,
You can't get mad.
You can't get mad.
That's truth. And I had that conversation too. I was like, nah, if you're doing all this, and that's one of my rules in my house is like, yo, if you give it, make sure you can take it.
Yeah, because a lot of people that do that can't take it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So maybe you just schedule a game of him, or you have to as a dad just still be able to cross him up.
I whoop his ass.
Yeah, good.
In everything, just so he gets the feeling of losing.
Yeah,
he understands that feeling. He hates it. Like he's really into FIFA, the game. And I haven't played FIFA since, Xbox, like Xbox One. I don't know, the early Xbox with the death ring. Do they still get a death ring?
I don't know.
That was the
Red Ring
360.
Yeah.
I think they fixed that
Back
in the couple systems.
Well, that's the last time I played FIFA, dog. And so like, but he was like, I want to play you in FIFA. So I played him, spanked him, just residual niceness that I have. And he got mad. He wants to play me again. He keeps wanting to play, but I keep whooping him. I'm not going to let him win, right? I keep whooping him.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's teaching him a good lesson. Also, I see him whooping up his other siblings and his cousins and stuff. So it's a hard balance to instill competitiveness, but also instill like good nature. Because sports is like this. We otherize assholeness, and it's okay, right? It's a really weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would you? I think it's easy in video games to like just kick your kid's ass until they're good enough to beat you. But like if you were playing basketball with him, would you still kick his ass until he's good enough to beat you?
We don't play one-on-one like that. I because he knows I whoop him, right? He's a child of the internet, so he Googles me. He's all, my dad's Arian, like he lists off all my stats, shit like that. So I don't play him like to one-on-one him. I play him more so to teach him things. Like I'm gonna teach you how to drop step, I'm gonna teach you how to fade away, I'm gonna teach you how to cross, like stuff like that. And so it's more of like like
a lesson.
Yeah, I'm teaching him. It's not necessarily, if he ever wants to, he knows. Like I'll definitely whoop him, and yeah, I'll give it to him until I can't no more. And I don't know when that's gonna be, because I'm gonna be one of them OGs on the court that know how to back you down, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that. There's a difference. I used to lift all day in college and shit, right? Pros even. But then when I shake my dad's hand, he got that grown man strength that that comes over time. Like, and he'll never be stronger than me in that aspect.
Your son's also got almost the ultimate trump card in the my dad could beat up your dad discussions that you have. It's like, well, my dad was an all-pro. I don't know if you know this, but he rushed for 1,600 yards with a broken collarbone.
I don't think he knows that part.
Until he runs into like a UFC fighter's kid.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
That'd be wild, yeah.
now there's a thing called jujitsu.
Yeah.
Well, I'm alright
Well,
that
you
now.
can do that.
I can do that. But actually, MMA fighters aren't the best at grappling. They're like purple belts-ish. Like it's rare that you'll have a black belt or something like that, because they have, multifaceted. But I will never fight anybody with cauliflower ear, dog. You got it. You
smart.
You won the argument. You can go first. Whatever our disagreement is, my bad.
I literally met a dude playing pool, and I just like became his friend because he had huge cauliflower ears, and I was just like, I'm gonna just befriend this guy.
I ain't mad.
Are you afraid of KB?
Well,
He wants to be his friend.
yeah,
Yeah,
just better befriend him. I mean, he's a wrestler.
but he has cauliflower ear.
Yeah,
Wrestlers,
yeah.
it's not as they know what they doing, man.
Billy-
Cauliflower shit.
Billy looks at dudes with cauliflower ear like most dudes look at girls with huge tits.
Yeah.
No,
Billy's-
that's
Billy's
I
like-
want to befriend you.
Billy's like,
That's it.
we're gonna hang out.
that's his sundress season. Yeah.
no. No, it's just because they're dangerous. It's like
You're showing off your
It's
new
like-
buddy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy I found.
Check his ears out.
he's perfect for the squad.
Yeah.
Interviewing cats to be in the squad.
Yeah. Do we want to talk at all about the Ja Morant thing? I don't know what else we can contribute to that hasn't already been said.
Why does he keep pulling out guns?
Three gun incidents in the last like 3 weeks is not great.
So I'm not totally up to speed on this. I've heard he had an Instagram video where he put out in the club or some shit like that.
He went live in the strip club.
So a few weeks, the first one was a few weeks ago. Someone in a car with him pointed a gun with a laser on it at someone that was with the Pacers. Like they're leaving the arena. They point a gun out the window of this car that he's in at someone in the Pacers party.
That's crazy.
Then, like a week ago, it comes out he had some incident where he was playing basketball with a 17-year-old, which I don't know why that was happening in the first place.
I'm sure the kid was pretty good at basketball.
I would assume.
Yeah.
But like beats the shit out of the kid and pistol whipped him and like pulled a gun out on him. And then like 2 days after that came out.
I had not heard pistol whipped. I heard beat the shit out of him, and then when he was on the ground,
You're talking about like actually fought him.
yeah, and then continued to beat him after the kid was on the ground. And then came out of his house.
Talking about, do we know why they got in a fight in the first
Don't
place?
know.
He threw the ball at his head in a heated, like taunting, and the kid threw the ball at him like too aggressively, and I think hit him in the head, and he didn't catch it. And then Ja Morant then was like, he hit me in the head with the ball first, so I punched him. I considered him hitting me in the head with the ball like the first punch.
And I had heard that he beat the shit out of him, and then walked out of his house back to the kid with a gun in his waistband, and then put his hand on the gun, and maybe might have pointed the gun at him.
So I had heard that the pistol whip thing, but that's not in the Washington Post report. It said this was last summer during an altercation in the parking lot. Morant punched a teenage boy, Morant punched a teenage boy in the head during a pickup basketball game at Morant's house. Morant and his friend struck the 17-year-old so hard they knocked him to the ground and left him with a large knot on the side of his head.
So Cuz came and played basketball at his house.
Mm-hmm.
So he must have been invited.
Yeah, the teenager told detectives from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office that after the fight, Morant went into his house and reemerged with a gun visible in the waistband of his pants and his hand on the weapon.
Okay.
So then 2 days after that comes out, he's on Instagram Live flashing his gun in a club.
Very tiny gun too.
Yeah, a little tiny little guy.
Strip club gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's not good. It's not good, and especially when you look at his contract situation. He at the end of the season, he's done with his rookie deal, and he's going to make $300 million supermax
Easily.
And basically, all he has to do is to not get arrested for gun violence in the next 3
I
months.
don't even think that's going to stop unless somebody takes his freedom away. I don't think that's not going to be a determining factor.
I would lock myself. What's where can you not have a gun?
A lot of
DC?
You don't need
A classroom?
Chicago?
You don't need a gun, bro. He don't need a fucking
And like a month
gun,
ago,
man.
he was like one of the most likable players in the NBA, I think.
I still like him. It's just he's just young. It's young and stupid, and you hanging with the wrong folks, right? If somebody around you and your entourage is doing that stupid shit, like you need a new crew, fam. Like I remember I went back home, and yeah, I understand the environment, right? Because I grew up in it, so I understand the environment. But I remember one time I went back home. They look, I'm not getting involved in none of that shit. So if you get in some shit, like you on your own. Like that has nothing to do with me. I'm like you, and most real ones. That's how I noticed. Like the real ones who are really in the streets, the real ones who are really about their life, who are really on the corner banging for spots. They don't want athletes nowhere around that shit. They don't want like, yo, you get away from this. Like get away from this life. The majority of cats are the real ones. They'll be like, yo, you don't want this. Like get out of here with that shit. It'd be the ones that just want like social clout, they just want to be attached to you. And that's what you gotta look out for. If there's anybody hanging around you that's doing that shit, that's not telling you, fam, like get out of these neighborhoods. Get out of there with stupid shit. Like then you don't need to be around them.
Yeah, I to a certain extent understand how Ja probably feels like a target sometimes because he is rich as shit and he's young and he probably has people around him that use him from time to time, and maybe some people that like maybe he's had incidents where someone's tried to steal something from him. I understand young athletes feeling the need to have a gun in the moment, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it, especially for Ja right now.
You know, there's a guy I know who's a former police officer who literally, I said this on part of my take, but
the guy from the docks?
No, another guy.
Okay.
Basically, he when I said if he doesn't have his gun on him, he might get anxiety. This guy actually has to go everywhere with, and he has the permit for it, and he goes everywhere with a gun because he has, stress, PTSD from times where he's gotten shot at, and like he gets anxiety without his gun. Like it's literally like. That is an argument. I don't know if John Morant falls into that category, but there are people.
Where's he from?
He's from South Carolina.
Is he like from the projects or is he from?
I don't know. My understanding of Ja, which this might be the most ignorant thing because I don't know this for a fact, but my understanding before all this happened was that he was not from a bad part of town. Like that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
even if he was though, it just don't. You need to, at this point in your career, what was he, like 23, 24?
Yeah, he's like Billy.
Maybe not even that old.
Yeah.
You just need to understand that people are out to get you. There are women plotting. There are men plotting. They everybody want to be a part. And so you just got to realize, dog, like protect yourself. Not with a gun, nigga, with better decisions.
Protect yourself with better decisions. I like that.
Speaking of, Mr. Murdoch was convicted since we've last spoken.
Yeah.
That's right. We got him.
The Snapchat video put him dead to rights.
I've never seen that man in a suit that fits.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Every suit looked too big.
Yeah.
And no matter how big he is,
He's so
I think he has
constipated.
lost a lot of weight since he's been in jail.
Dude,
that could be the case.
think about how
In all the
constipated
pictures.
that dude was off taking all those pills. And like you could see it in the pictures. He was
Just
like,
literally full of shit.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
and now he's like clean and literally like,
I forgot
looks so
about
much
that
different.
aspect of painkillers that
Yeah.
you cannot defecate.
jams you up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, Arian. He needs a new tailor for as much money as that family
Man,
has.
he ain't never been in a good suit.
You ever seen that live performance of the Talking Heads? I think Scorsese might have shot it. It's a live Talking Heads concert, and the singer comes out and he's wearing a suit that's like 5 sizes too big because he wanted his head to look really small and look weird on stage. That's what this dude looks like to me.
Facts.
That's what he used to look like.
See, suit don't fit.
I can't tell with that one, but he's lost weight since he's been in jail for sure.
Now he's bald as shit too.
Damn, cuz.
Shaved his head.
Well, a murderer off the streets.
Yeah.
This
We
is
still didn't get the guy that actually did it though.
this is
You don't.
this is
I don't know
David-
if he did it.
David
bro.
Byrne from the Talking Heads right there.
Yeah.
That's what Alec Murdaugh looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he did the shit himself.
The trending TikTok conspiracy theory is
There you
that
go.
he someone that he owed a ton of money to came and like killed his wife and kid in front of him, and he didn't say anything because he knows that if he did, they would kill him in prison and his other kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's another kid left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has to take the fall.
I say lock
Right.
that kid up preemptively. Just sorry.
Well, he's the one that allegedly could have had something to do with the
Steven Smith.
first kid that
Yeah.
died.
Buster and Papa.
Where is this trending topic coming from on TikTok?
I've seen it. I'm on
Yeah.
that.
It's a bunch of girls who all are saying this, making this TikTok like they're the first one that's made it, but they're all verbatim the exact same thing. It's like, I'm Southern enough to know what happened.
And they're using the Reba McEntire song where it's like, don't trust no Southern lawyer.
When the lights went out in Georgia.
Yeah, great song.
Mm-hmm.
The craziest part is there's tons of other families like that due to how the judicial system works in South Carolina that have that much control. We just don't know about them.
Yet.
Yeah.
And they could be getting away with all sorts of shit.
I do love how TikTok, you're covering other people's stories like on TikTok as opposed to just copying their dance. Now you're just copying their exact TikTok
Yeah, they're like-
that they put out.
Yeah,
I've
you're
seen
just
that-
stealing their thoughts.
I've seen that one 8 times.
Yeah.
Verbatim,
Yeah.
I'm Southern enough to know that they were killed in front of him.
How does being from the South have anything to do with
I
that?
think it's implying that like that's a, Southern vigilante justice, I guess.
Yeah, if you're from Western Pennsylvania, you know.
Yeah.
I got so much
Pennsylvania
feedback.
is not the South.
I got so much feedback. Actually, most people that were from Pennsylvania
Said yes.
agreed. They were like, "Yeah, if outside of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, maybe Pennsylvania's the South."
I'd say it's more Appalachian.
It's Appalachian. Yeah, I am kind of like conflating Appalachia, and there are differences between like you go to Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, and then comparing that with like Western North Carolina, West Virginia. It's different, but it's similar.
West Virginia is considered the South, ain't it? Or is it
Like
above?
Appalachia.
They actually
No, they fought for.
they split from regular Virginia to fight for the North, but I
Gotcha.
would consider West Virginia is very southern,
Gotcha.
very southern.
There's
state.
like hella aspects of Texas that I don't really feel are Southern.
yeah,
I spent time in Tennessee. I have partners in Georgia, like Louisiana, Alabama. Like that shit is South. Like Texas is kind of like the Hollywood South.
Texas.
There are
is
pockets
Texas.
that are South. Yeah, I agree. But like when the rodeo comes, like all of a sudden, the Southern shit just came out of nowhere. I'm like, dog, y'all was eating avocado toast yesterday.
Well, would you say rodeo's more Western?
It's the cowboy shit, like the cowboy hats and the boots and that shit is Southern.
You think that's it? That's.
Cowboy boots, you don't find that out in California though.
But you kind of do in like
White people,
New Mexico. Yeah,
yeah,
New Mexico,
no,
Arizona, cattle country.
maybe it's just like a Republican thing. I don't know.
Do you know about the
Like white Republicans wear cowboy boots.
Do you know about the Angola prison rodeo?
I don't.
So this is something I learned in college when I would go down to visit my friends at LSU.
Mexicans wear boots too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like there's two kind of Mexicans. There's like SAs and there's like Mexico Mexicans.
yeah. Cowboy hats, cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Angola prison rodeo is a wild thing that still exists to this day.
Angola prison.
Angola, it's a prison in Louisiana.
Okay.
The Angola prison, and they do a rodeo. I think it's every year where the inmates participate in it. And there's some like really good cowboys that they train to do this thing. But it's also prisoners that are competing in a rodeo that do this thing where they go out and they do cowboy poker or rodeo poker, where they just sit around a card table, and the premise is the last person that's sitting at the table wins that event, and they release a live bull into the arena, and then the bull just starts charging at people and knocking them out
during the card game.
During the card game, it's a really fucked up situation, but people in Louisiana are like, oh yeah, that's just normal. It's just good, clean fun.
I would agree with you if it wasn't voluntary and like there isn't a precedent for like rodeo clowns going to rodeos and doing that. Like
There's a
like
precedent.
Oh, like
I was
it's
like, what?
It's like
There's a president of rodeo.
It's a
clowns?
sport. It's a sport, and it's like it's not. They're not just like it's not the Coliseum where they're taking guys against their will and throwing them in there. I think there's a promise of like commissary reward, or.
Is there?
They call it convict poker.
If it's voluntary, I don't really,
like
I don't think the efficacy is too off brand. Because if you in prison, you're probably looking for some shit to do, pass the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's probably.
I'm looking it up right now. It's actually, I misspoke. It's called the Angola Prison Rodeo, but it's at the Louisiana State Penitentiary. It's the longest running prison rodeo in the United States. It's held one weekend in April and every Sunday in October. Thousands of visitors.
Up.
Yeah, thousands of visitors go out there. They sell foods. Prison guards are doing all the financial transactions. So if you go to buy food at a concession stand, you buy it that was cooked by prisoners, and the prison guards take the money for it.
Oh, see, now I'm not with that.
Each spring, the rodeo raises funds for religious educational programs for prisoners. As of 2013, each spring rodeo raises $450,000.
I'm pro. Like this is like a fun event. Like you can't be like the guards aren't forcing prisoners to like bull ride.
The chance to win prizes up to $500. It's an economic incentive for inmates to put themselves in harm's way because their wages usually earn them between 2 cents an hour and 75 cents an hour.
It's exploitive. I'm not with it.
It is kind of it's without a doubt exploitive, but the prisoners, there's definitely like a strong incentive for them to what a wild thing to go to.
I guarantee a lot of them look forward to the event.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't have anything to look forward to, man. It's still exploitive. It's exploitive.
Yeah, it can be exploitive, and they can also, since it's voluntary, they can volunteer to do the exploitive thing, and they can enjoy doing the exploitive thing.
Like Alec Murdaugh, you know, he's been in the can for like a year, and he wants to go ride a bull, and everyone watch him maybe get thrown around by a bull. We're against that?
It's exploitive. Like it regardless of how you view somebody's humanity, it is of my moral compass that they still have humanity. And so exploiting them for your entertainment is still exploiting them, regardless of how they feel about it. It's still exploitive.
I'll put it this way. I would feel extremely uncomfortable going to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't go.
Like, could you really?
Because, I mean, think about everybody that's in prison. Like, one, not everybody there is guilty. Two, there's a spectrum of different kind of crimes they committed. So, anywhere from drugs to, murder or rape or whatever the case may be, right? You're still taking people's humanity and you throwing them in like this entertainment circus for your entertainment. It's wild.
For charity.
It depends. Like if they getting like money put on their books and that was where it was going, I wouldn't be totally against it. But obviously that's not what he said. The prison guards take the money from the concession stands that the prisoners
for the charity.
But it's not going to them.
It's going to the religious educational systems in
not
the prison.
Just them. The prison guards are getting the money.
Well, they're just handling the money so that it doesn't get stolen.
I'm sure they're doing a great job at it. But what I'm saying is like if like I said, I don't know the ins and outs of the thing. If it is all going to the prisoners, then that's their business, and that's how they want to. If that's how they want to do it, then that's what's up. But it's just something I couldn't find myself watching it for any kind of enjoyment.
Yeah, it might benefit them at the end of the day. They might make a little bit of money off of it, but I would still like imagine being in the stands for that. It'd be really strange.
Remember, they have free healthcare.
That's true.
So
I would still.
What does that mean?
I would still rather not watch it.
So let's watch them make fools of themselves.
Billy would go.
Absolutely, he's
absolutely
banging for
fucking
it.
go. I love the rodeo. Like
That's
those
not
are
a rodeo. Go to the
athletes.
regular rodeo.
Well, I mean, like rodeos are fun. Like I once went to a rodeo upstate when I was a kid, and I rode a sheep. They you had to see how long you could hold on to the sheep while it was running, and it was like so fun. You put a
All right,
helmet on.
here's an interesting philosophical question.
Uh-huh.
At what point in the spectrum of crime
Uh-huh.
do you devalue somebody's humanity?
So that's admitting that I devalue their.
You
humanity.
absolutely devalue
Yeah,
humanity.
I-
You just
I'll-
said Murdoch right in the book. You devalue his humanity.
I'll be honest. I probably.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying
Yeah.
what you do.
No, but like, what we're gonna just judge everybody?
That's what you're doing.
Like, we're not gonna take people's actions into account.
Okay, so like
But
OJ.
hold on, that's the question though.
Yeah.
The question is, at what point of the crime spectrum do you devalue their humanity? Me personally, if you're a murderer, if you're a mass murderer, I don't think you're a very good human being, right? But I will take no enjoyment. And this is just me. This is my moral compass. I will take no enjoyment watching you. Like, that's why I don't believe in the death penalty. I will take no enjoyment from you seeing you devalued as a human being. I'll take no enjoyment from that. My question to you is, at what point in the spectrum do you find it okay to devalue a human being?
I think this is not a. I think the difference in our opinions is not coming from how we view the prisoners. I think it's how we view rodeos. I think that now that I'm thinking,
What a line.
yeah, because no, seriously, because I'm thinking about that. Like,
Rodeos are fun for everybody, bro.
No.
It's not that deep.
no,
I don't hate murderers too much. You don't like rodeos enough.
yeah. I like every year around my birthday, the rodeo used to come to Madison Square Garden PBR, and I went like 2 years or 3 years in a row, and it was so fun.
I went last year to PBR. It is really, really
It's
fun.
so like you root for the bulls. I root for the bulls. I root because they are like crazy athletes. These things are like 3,000 pounds, and
Bulls are
they're
athletes.
jumping like some of these bulls are jumping higher than most people, and they're 3,000 pounds.
Yeah,
And
you respect the mass.
And then and then you got like the cattle dealers who are like they get money for their bulls, and then like you read up about like, oh, this bull there's sometimes like generations of bulls that are consistently are just the best and fuck up other rodeo riders.
Yeah.
And then there's also like there's stuff that you don't even know about, like for example, a lot of Brazilians are there's a bunch of very good rodeo riders who are Brazilian in PBR, and that's just something that you would never know if you didn't like watch it. Like there's tons of rodeo riders from different pockets of the earth that like when you think rodeo, you think the West, like you think like USA, of course, because that's our only context. But there's like so much more to it, and it's just really cool.
Yeah,
No matter who's doing it.
But and then there's rodeo clowns who are like the
they don't
rodeo
call them clowns anymore.
What?
They don't like the C word.
Really?
They don't call themselves that anymore. Yeah,
It's the real C
What do
word.
they call it? Wait.
the Chargers. That's another. I don't say that word.
Got it.
Rodeo. They don't like being. I'm
I
pretty
don't-
sure
I
that's a good term because they're dressed up as clowns.
Barrelmen. No, they don't.
Oh, the professional ones might go as
yeah,
barrelmen.
they don't like being known as clowns.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
they're like super acrobatic guys, and they're able to like avoid bulls, and like there's so much more to it.
I don't have a problem with the rodeo if that's the case you're making.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like for them to do a rodeo, I don't think is dehumanizing them.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Billy, that's a great job of turning the debate. I think that's an interesting paradigm that
Yeah.
you brought up. Now,
If they were fighting, if it was like a goddamn
Duel.
blood sport,
like gladiators,
like gladiator, like if they were just
you
saying,
would like gladiators too.
ah, fuck.
You absolutely would.
If it was
But
like
it can turn into a blood sport if there's animals involved.
if it was human chess, right? The Nazis did that at some point with their prisoners and the people that they put in the concentration camps. They would put up a chessboard, and then they would just play chess against each other. And if you took a piece, that person had to kill the other person,
God
or else
damn.
they would be killed. Maybe I just saw that in a movie and I'm thinking that it's real, but I'm gonna just for the sake of this argument, let's say
would
that
not
that's
watch
real.
that.
That would be at that. So that's like let's say that they did that in a prison in the United States, and it was murderers.
Yeah,
You would not watch that,
I would not watch that.
maybe.
No, I'm not watching that. I'm
Giving
just-
me maybe vibes.
No, but not murders, because like some people commit murder and they're like, there's a lot of murders that occur that aren't like some like I actually know a guy who
Billy's list. There's some murderers on Billy's list.
There probably is, probably
There-
like statistically.
Oh yeah, we talked. Stop.
there's a
yeah, that's right.
there are stories of people who commit manslaughter that ends up being murder,
Sure.
and like those people do not have to like for example, would I watch an MMA fight between prisoners? Yes, because I like MMA is a sport. Like I, as someone who's like done boxing, I've like done jujitsu. Like there, like I see it more as a sport. I don't see it as dehumanizing. Like the prisoners who do it. Like if they want to, like if there was like a prisoner charity boxing match and like they're training and like they enjoy it, it's something that they like do every day to like pass the time. If they want to do it, I don't see any problem with that. It's just like I don't see it as dehumanizing.
Got you.
Okay.
I don't know.
What about you, Big T?
Oh, he don't give a shit about criminals.
I don't care about rodeo or MMA when professionals do it. So I sure as hell wouldn't watch convicts do it. I don't watch the guys who do it.
Big T would feel morally conflicted because he wouldn't want to give convicts money.
Yeah, that's probably true.
No, I truly just don't care.
Yeah.
I wouldn't watch John Jones do MMA.
You watch boxing?
I would.
No.
Really? So you don't? Like,
there's got to be some sort of
ball.
greater objective than beat the shit. Like, yes, you have to be trying to get a ball somewhere or
Gotcha.
throw it into something or a
Gotcha.
puck.
I got
You got to be doing something.
Got you.
Just the kicking and punching doesn't do it for me.
I got you.
Now, if I had a time machine, I would 100% go back to the Coliseum just to see it, as like a historical perspective.
It's already
Yeah,
happening.
as a
Might well.
researcher.
Yeah.
Like to see, like, because think about it, you have like hundreds of thousands of people all screaming. Like we go to sports game and we're like, oh, the atmosphere. I want to see what the atmosphere was like at the Coliseum when you had a bunch of people who like who. I wanted to see like how hyped it got.
You think they did the wave?
I think they were like,
Ooh, when did
Yes.
the wave start?
Oh, that's a big dispute.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like two separate groups of people that claim to have invented the wave.
Lay it on me.
One guy I think is a Dodgers fan, and he claims that he invented it.
Is that recent?
Yeah,
the wave
it
is
was
that
like
recent?
the 70s, I want to say.
That seems like a 70s invention.
Yeah,
The wave?
Yeah.
There's two.
Are you pro wave?
I love waves.
Oh.
You see me get down with the wave.
Yeah, I guess. I don't like it.
I mean,
You don't like the wave?
It's like I'm trying to watch the game and people are going up and down. It's too much.
I think there should be a limit of the amount of waves, like 3-4 tops. After that, when it starts to die down, it gets kind of like, what are we doing? And nobody knows what exactly is that. 3, I say 3.
Here's what I hate about the
3
wave.
max waves.
If it's going around the stadium, that's one thing. It's the people trying to start the wave. Like, okay, this time, everybody, this time, 1, 2, and they do it 8 times.
Yeah, see, that I think it's the amount. And also, it is kind of weird. How do you start a wave? Because
It's a drunk guy in your section going, okay, everybody, ready on 3, we're going to start the wave.
I like
And
it.
it's really annoying.
I like that guy.
There was one guy that said, Crazy George Henderson claims that he invented the wave.
I'm in because his name. Like, I
Yeah.
believe him.
And he said that he started it at a hockey game, I believe.
Wow.
But there's somebody else that claims that they invented it. But it looks like Crazy George Henderson was
This
the
would
one.
be a fun ESPN 360 or something. A documentary on the wave.
I think they did.
They
I
did?
think that's where I think I'm remembering this controversy from. It's from like an ESPN like 60 or whatever it was called. E60. Wasn't that the name of those?
Good show.
360, yeah. The origins of the wave.
Crazy George Henderson.
Crazy George Henderson and his wave.
I would like to interview Crazy George.
Is he still alive?
Let's go back to his he has his own Wikipedia page.
Shout out to George.
Crazy George. And in case you didn't think he was crazy, he spells it with a K. So he's definitely crazy. Yeah, he's still alive right now.
To him too.
He's still alive.
The guy that invented the wave is still alive.
Yeah, the guy that invented the high five is still alive.
That's cap.
You know who that guy was?
Who?
I'm pretty sure it was Dusty Baker. I think Dusty Baker
get
claims
your
that he
ass.
invented the high
I
five.
think he does claim that.
That
Yeah.
shit's
Yeah.
silly, man. People been dapping it up for hundreds of years.
Dusty Baker hit his 30th home run in 1977 and was greeted at home plate by his teammate Glenn Burke with his hand in the air. Baker, not knowing what to do, slapped Burke's hand, and thus the high five was born.
That's nonsense. That's super bullshit. Ain't no fucking way, dog. People was dapping it up way before Dusty Baker, bro.
Dusty Baker he's known as the man that invented the high five.
Not to me. Ain't no fucking way.
I think they did the wave in the movie Gladiator. I think they had one in the crowd.
Well, that's historically inaccurate then.
I know.
It was Crazy George.
Anderson was not in attendance. Could you imagine?
Crazy Felonious was in the crowd.
He was really crazy.
His great-great-great-grandfather.
So I'm pretty sure the crowds at like the Coliseum were like insane. Like they were all gambling in the crowd and like also like drinking and partying. Like there was like
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
You're going to go to a Gladiator event and not put money on it?
Have some ale and wine.
Yeah.
yeah.
The Wikipedia for high five credits it to Dusty Baker.
That had no fucking way the high five started. Are we talking about like you know what I'm saying? Like, what's up, bro?
I
Like,
think
well,
it
the
means
handshake.
specifically up here like that.
That's a high
Not
five.
necessarily any handshake.
You're talking about a handshake with some sauce on it. That probably already existed, but the high five, like up top and you slap hands. That's Dusty Baker.
I just find that so hard to believe that
Feels like human
nobody.
nature.
Yeah, like that's the most. What's up, man?
Well, maybe
Funny fucking joke. Wow.
The-
I just don't. Ain't no fucking way.
I mean, the nomenclature high five, I could absolutely see like that being the first time. He was like, "What's that?" Oh, it's a high five. It was more like a naming of the high five.
It was a copyright.
I mean, the Wikipedia page for the high five is a great resource to look at because it has variations, and they explain the left hanging where you ask for a high five and you don't. They explain the self high five, and then they explain the too slow variation.
Oh,
And
that's
then
a big hit with the kids.
And then there's a 4-picture sequence of events showing the up high, too low, victim misses, too slow. It's a very good Wikipedia page.
Parentheses with finger guns.
Yeah, because the guy that makes her miss
This is the type
Wait.
is given two
This is
finger
the type
guns.
of shit that like AI incorporates in their algorithms.
Is there a more white people Wikipedia page than high five?
It's very, very white. They also have the air five, and it's two white women standing across a piano from each other doing the air high five, where they don't actually.
The fuck is an air?
The
high
fist,
five?
It's like-
the fist bump
And
also
you and
was
I are
developed
Oh my god.
by baseball player
Ain't no
Stan
fucking-
Musial.
See, that's more bullshit.
Stan Musial invented the fist bump?
ain't- No,
Yeah.
see,
No, that's way cooler.
that's-
First of
yeah,
all, you just
silly.
said Stan Musial like he's not an all-time GOAT. You should read up on Stan Musial. Secondly, tell me about this.
Okay, so baseball Hall of Famer.
One of the
History.
greatest hitters of all time.
way.
The fist bump or pound in European history can be traced to boxers instructed to touch gloves at the start of a contest. Likewise, dart players bump fists that are clutching pointed mini arrows. The modern gesture may have arisen spontaneously on city basketball courts and was popularized by the basketball player Fred Carter in the 1970s. Others trace the gesture to the Wonder Twins, minor characters in the 1970s Hanna-Barbera superhero cartoon Super Friends, who touched Nux and cried, "Wonder Twin powers, activate." Baseball Hall of Famer Stan Musial used the fist bump during the 50s and 60s as an alternative to shaking hands. Musial was convinced that he was catching too many colds by picking up germs while shaking hands, thousands of hands each year, so he adopted the fist bump as a friendly alternative.
Nah, bro.
So that's 1950s and 60s.
Ain't
Stan
nobody
Musial?
skeptical of this shit.
Oh,
Man,
Smith.
the fist bump was invented in the 60s.
I'm
dog.
choosing to believe Stan
Come
Musial
on,
invented the
come
fist
on,
bump. Yes.
cuz this shit is.
It's amazing how so many of these greetings are just invented by well-known baseball players. Isn't that kind of weird?
Hey, come on.
I guess you do a lot of handshakes when you're a baseball player.
Yeah.
Every time somebody hits a home run, they come back in the dugout, unless it's their first one, and then everyone daps them up. You shake hands with all of your teammates before a game and after a game.
I
got
hate
a lot
to
of
be that.
teammates.
I hate to be that guy. This is nonsense.
Well, the boxers touching gloves. I think that's the origin. It's like the oldest
I
sport.
think people just been doing this shit since people were people. Like, what's up, bro? Woo. Or hey,
Well, it's different cultures.
how
'cause
goes it?
in Japan, it's traditionally you just bow. There's no contact. Everyone comes up with something different. Baseball just comes up with the friendliest ways to say hello to somebody.
I don't know, man.
If there's like a cave, like two cavemen, they're walking up to each other, and they're just
I
like,
don't know. My pops was born in the 60s, bro. They was dapping it up before then.
Ask him about Stan Musial.
I'm gonna call him right now.
Call him.
I'm gonna call my dad. Cause this is bullshit. I feel offended. I'm about to. This nigga retired and be working though. Shit crazy. Hey Pop.
What up, man?
Hey, you on a podcast, fam?
Why?
Because I got a question, bro. That I'm calling
ahead.
bullshit. So we talking about the origins of basically dapping people up. So different kinds. High five, which ain't really our speed, but the fist bump, right? The internet says the fist bump was started in the 70s,
No, the 50s or
50s.
60s.
in the 50s or 60s. I'm just positive that like grandpa was like fist bumping with folks way before that shit.
Yeah. Oh,
That-
no doubt.
See, I felt like it
See,
was.
we used to in our neighborhoods. We used to do this. It was give me some skin,
Yup.
okay, and we would slide our hands. And when it started getting picked up by white boys, we changed it to bumping fists.
I like. See, I knew it was revisionist history. I knew it.
We used to do this, okay? It was hot, and we decided to make it cool.
Y'all was just the opposite of whatever they was doing.
And the reason that we did that is because for years in our neighborhoods, in our communities, we had nothing that we could call our own. Even to this day, we don't have anything that we could call our own.
You about
Like,
the grandstand on?
we export nothing out of the United States as a black community that we can call our own. So that's how we decided to unite with each other, is to begin to have something that we could call our own.
All right, man. I appreciate the History 101. I'm gonna hit you after this, Pop.
All right.
Appreciate you, dog.
Yep.
Yo, Pops will grandstand. He will absolutely talk for a good hour.
So I have no reason to doubt what he said, and I think that's probably what he experienced. But as far as the timeline goes, Stan Musial says that he was doing this in 1950 or the 50s and
Call it
60s.
cap.
I think that's
That's
just,
true. You said your dad was born in the 60s?
That's true, but what I asked was grandpa, so his dad. I was like, I guarantee Pops was doing it before that. He
I'm
said,
sure
yeah.
it's all a popularization thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there was no TikTok to see that like guys were giving each other fist bumps. So someone saw Stan Musial do it and be like, he invented that.
Yeah, that's true. So Stan Musial might have been doing it himself, but the fist bump as like a common greeting might have evolved from somewhere else too.
I'm just finding it hard to believe that shit is the origins, bro. I just find it hard. It's just too much flavor going on in the inner cities before that shit. There's way too much flavor.
It is very funny that of all professional athletes to say invented the fist bump, you have a white guy on the St. Louis Cardinals
oh my
in
god.
like 1956 that was doing it. That would be the very last person that I would expect.
I mean, like think about what was happening in the other league at that
That's
time.
what I'm saying.
Like
you said
that-
the other league. You said the Negro leagues, Billy. It's okay.
I just don't feel comfortable.
I feel you.
That's what it was called.
I know, but just on a recording can really get taken out of context.
I'm boy tomato red face right now.
I don't think anybody gets mad at that.
I don't care. Might happen one day.
You never know.
Now that's
You
not far off.
You want to be subsequently
That's
canceled?
Yeah,
fair
like-
enough.
What's the name of the league?
It said it on the shirts, man.
It's like 2070. They're like, we got you on tape.
Yeah, I mean
Back in,
you're already going to be
2023.
in big trouble because of how much meat you eat.
Yeah.
People are going to think that you were Just
Did you
That
see
bad guy.
the cricket ice cream? It's the bugs. Remember about talking about eating the bugs?
Yeah.
We still need to have Jack Mack on to talk about that. But there was a story about I forget where it was, but new cricket ice cream, and they're like, this is amazing. You will be eating bugs.
okay.
So get ready.
The best ice cream I ever had is lavender. Lavender ice cream.
I don't like those fancy flavors.
No, lavender from Jenny's. Do you guys have Jenny's in Texas?
I don't know what a Jenny's is.
Give me a chocolate. Give me a vanilla. Give me a fudge swirl. Give me
I
a
ain't mad at
mint
you.
chocolate chip.
Have you had lavender though?
I don't need to eat lavender. I don't need
No.
to
Have you had it?
I
though?
don't need fragrant ice
No,
cream.
I'm telling you, lavender ice cream.
But have you had it though?
I have not.
Lavender
See,
ice
how
cream
you
is
gonna
so
do
good.
that?
Well, 'cause
you don't strike me as a closed-minded man.
I just like ice. I like regular ice cream.
So you'll love lavender ice cream. It's like
Refreshing.
it's this freshness about
So you
it.
got to do a honey lavender.
I've had honey lavender.
Yeah, that's that
Bro,
shit
I'm
that gets
tell-
good.
I'm telling you, dog. Lavender ice cream is superior to like regular vanilla or chocolate or strawberry. Any of that shit.
I'll try it.
It has this like. Have you ever had like mint and it's very fresh? Like it's mint with better flavor.
Okay, I'll try it.
Sweet mint.
I'll give it a shot.
Lavender's good for your tea.
Testosterone?
Yeah, lavender.
Okay, now you're convincing me.
But milk isn't though, right?
No, milk's good.
Really?
Soy milk is it?
Soy milk's terrible.
I don't know enough
Soy milk
about
is what
the
gives
science.
you boobs.
Got you. Oh, that's why it'd be like soy boys. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
One time I went to a artisanal ice cream shop in Austin, and I just wanted just good, normal, regular ice cream, and they didn't have any regular options to choose from, and that stayed with me for the last 15 years.
What'd you get?
That's what I
Stormed
hate
out?
about
I stormed out. Yeah, no, I stormed out. I probably hopped on Yelp.
That's why I hate breweries.
This ice cream shop is woke.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was very like I wanted to get a chocolate chip ice cream, and they had chocolate chip, but it was like olive oil chocolate chip.
Oh, I've heard olive oil and ice cream's really good.
I want to just try it, bro.
No, I wanted just fucking ice cream.
But what, I don't understand. Like,
Give me an ice cream. I just wanted a good scoop. And then I went to Baskin Robbins right afterwards, and I was like, "Now that's what I'm talking." Now this is high eating right now.
I don't. What I found is the ice cream shops that have those fancy flavors, their ingredients are a little more fresh, and so the ice cream in general tastes better.
That might be true.
Mm-hmm.
Still, just I will
Have
try.
some lavender. Report back. What
Arian,
is there you wrong?
There's
I'll try.
there's a ice cream place by my apartment I'm gonna tell you about, and it has good flavors like that.
I'm down. Well, see, now y'all trying to get me off the
Oh,
wagon. You know what I'm
I
saying?
But it's
I'm trying
but
to
it's
get these
kinda
April abs. It's coming. I feel.
You have to treat yourself.
I do.
Sweet
I
treat.
haven't had a cheat day in 3 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I can't do
Yeah.
that.
I'm actually, but I think I'm gonna waste it today though. I'm going to Mr. Taka. I'm going back to Mr. Taka.
Get,
Oh,
get
the
some
ramen?
of those
The
good
ramen
beers.
spot, Yeah.
Or you're not gonna have the good
Not
beer.
gonna have the beer, but I'm definitely gonna have the ramen. Remember that the bun, the
Yeah.
pork bun?
Oh,
Yeah,
the
bruh.
bao buns.
Yeah,
Oh
bro.
shit.
Them things is thangin'.
All right. Well, we've got an interview coming up with a very special guest here, and she is brought to you by our great friends over at BetterHelp. Shout out BetterHelp. BetterHelp's a great service, and Alina Burroughs is going to be brought to you by BetterHelp. We're going to talk about the Idaho Murders. She is a crime scene investigator, so we're going to catch up on that and talk about her show that's coming out on Investigation Discovery, and it's going to be brought to you by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. I'm not the same person I was in my 20s. Chances are you're not the same person that you were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Life changes, and we also change how we react to events in our lives. New emotions creep up when thinking about new things that are presenting themselves, new challenges. And therapy can be all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Therapy can be a great tool. It's not always necessary to start going to therapy after there's a problem that arises. Going to therapy can be good for your just everyday mental health and can prevent some issues from popping up. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/dose today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, Patreon.com/dose. And now here's Alina Burroughs. Okay, we welcome on a very special guest. It's Alina Burroughs. You can see her on a new special coming out, The Idaho College Murders. It's going to premiere on Sunday, March 12th at 10/9 Central. You can stream it the same day on Discovery Plus. It's going to come out on ID, Investigation Discovery, and you can stream it the same day on Discovery Plus. She is a CSI and forensic expert. Is that correct? You worked as a crime scene investigator?
I did, yeah. I don't like to throw the word expert around, but that's what they say.
Okay, you probably know more than I do about investigating crime scenes. Would that be fair to say?
Okay, I'll agree to that.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We have talked about the Idaho murders on this show a few times, and it looks like we're moving towards more of a resolution on that. So what motivated you to become interested in studying this particular murder case?
I think obviously this crime, kind of grabbed the whole nation because we're looking at true victims. It's very scary to look at, I think parents sending their children off to college. You think they're safe, they're kids, they're there to, study, to have a good time, to find out who they are. And, this is every parent's nightmare. Kids, especially in their most vulnerable state, sleeping. It's very frightening. I think everybody wants to understand why something like this happens. We're all human. We're all, meat wrapped around a skeleton. And we all want to go, why can it vary so much between all of us? How does it go so wrong? How does one human vary so much? So we all seek to understand, especially in this case, once we were guided towards a potential suspect, and then everybody says, how is this person studying criminology, criminal justice? Everybody has a lot of questions. Why? From the human behavior side, and then how does the actual investigation happen? And then people get super interested in the process. How does it go from the crime scene side? How does it go from the court side? How does it go from the human behavior aspect? There's just so many intriguing factors here.
Yeah, and there were a lot of armchair detectives that were trying to work on this from home, and I don't think they could have gotten it more wrong in like multiple different ways. So leave it to the experts like Alina, she's not an expert, I'm sorry, but she knows more than you. Now, this guy was studying to be a police officer, working in criminology, maybe in crime labs, things like that. Is that something that's relatively common for somebody to be in that field, to have like in the back of their heads or a desire to be a criminal?
I don't think it's overly common. I just think in this instance, maybe he had an awareness of what was going on in his mind, and that he potentially sought to understand what was going on in himself, in his own behavior. Maybe he's seeing this behavior and he's seeking to understand why he's having these thoughts and feelings. Mm-hmm. That's just my personal take on it.
And I'll let these other guys chime in a second here. My big question that I've had since kind of figuring out the path that he took across the country, how the police were following him the entire time. Is it common for police officers to have a pretty good idea of who a suspect is, but to then let that person travel all the way across the country, or to observe them from a distance? How can you be sure that this guy wasn't going to hurt somebody else in the time in between when they had a pretty good idea who it was because of the DNA, and the time when they eventually arrested him?
I think they were watching him. And I think the frustrating part for the rest of the world, and we heard this a lot when I was doing, some shows in the beginning, as everybody was saying, why aren't they doing more? They don't have anything. There was a general fear that the case was going cold. And I was trying to encourage everybody to understand that the police have to keep information quiet. Otherwise, it's going to jeopardize the entire case. What we don't want as a society is any suspect getting away with this. We don't want important information to get leaked that's going to jeopardize the case going to court and having a solid case against the person that perpetrated this crime. So I get it. The world wants to hear what's going on. We want to know that they have somebody. We want to know the details, but we also don't want the person to get away with this. So we have to balance that. And, guess what? As an average society, we aren't owed any information about this. We live in a world where information is shared so readily, and we think that we should know everything that's going on. but we aren't owed that information. What is the utmost concern is the victims, always the victims. So we have to do right by the victims, and keeping all the details of this case quiet was what was the best thing to do at the time. And it's hard to be the chief of police and not get on TV and go, hey, everybody, we have these details. We have the guy, we're following him, but they can't reveal that information. It would jeopardize the case.
Kind of along those lines, how you doing, by the way? I appreciate you joining us. Kind of along those lines, do you feel it ever like a conflict between, because like sometimes there's cases in the past where, you know, the internet investigators have actually done some good, right? They've actually uncovered some things. And so like you said, kind of finding that balance between letting too much information out, because one thing as well as you know in this society is if you keep things too secretive, then the conspiracies start to brew. And so you got to kind of calm that and tame that dragon as well. But, and so like between those two things, like how do you find that balance and kind of mitigate that entire?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It really is. And I've worked cases that have been high profile where I've literally had to put evidence in a bag of a different size so that the internet wouldn't be guessing what evidence I was bringing out based on the size of the bag. So I would have a giant bag with a tiny piece of evidence inside so that people couldn't say, oh, they're bringing this out because of the size of the bag. You know, and that's why law enforcement has public information officers and people that's their job, to give a press release, to give just enough information so that people understand, hopefully, this is, you know, we have this information, we're working on it, understand that we have a direction that we're going in the case and that we can't reveal. You know, the worst thing is to go to a press conference and every answer is, I can't reveal the information at this time. Right. Next question. I can't reveal any information in regards to that at this time. Yes, next question. Unfortunately, I can't reveal any. You know, it's like, why have a press conference if every answer is that I can't reveal any information? You have to give enough.
Can you give an example of, you know, maybe not a specific example because, you know, cases can get weird, but like an example of like something that you couldn't release and the reasons as to why you couldn't release certain information?
I'm trying to think.
Because like when the general public hears that, like we're just thinking like bullshit, give it to it. You know what I mean? Like just as a layman, that's what I'm thinking.
Would it be like if they released the type of tires they were looking for, and then that person could go change their tires?
Sure. So I'll give you an example. In particular, in this case, so I was asked to be on, you know, popular news media, and you know they want me to give specific evidence of what crime scene investigators are looking for in this case. So what I'm not going to do is get on television and say, well, they're going to be looking for, you know, the following items like shoes, so that the suspect who was potentially listening can go, well, I better go throw away my shoes. I don't want to give any information on, you know, mainstream media that's going to jeopardize the case and, you know, give information out that then could give our suspect the upper hand by saying, oh yeah, that's a good call. If they've collected this evidence, then I need to go and destroy this evidence. That could jeopardize the case.
Got it. Billy, you got a question?
Yeah. Hi, Alina. I'm off camera right now, but just wondering, when looking into this case, there was a lot of discussion whether Kohberger had any contact with the victims before the attack and murders, or if he had chosen them for any specific reasons. Is there any insight right now into what that contact could have been? I know there was an Instagram DM that was mentioned, but in even rumors of knowing one of the victims' fathers. Is any of this substantiated?
So we're going to look at the search warrant in this case, and search warrants are incredibly important. There's a whole process to them. So when you do a search warrant, you have to go to a judge and say, Judge, I would like to search for the following things. You have to have probable cause to do a search warrant. You have to say, I think this is going to be related to the case. So you can't just go and say, I'm going to search the home. You have to say, I'm searching for the following things, and this is why I believe they are related to the case. When the judge agrees to them, then you have to go and search for the things, and then you have to go back to the judge and say that I found these things. So you'll see in the case that we've seen search warrants, and you've seen the list of items collected on a search warrant return. That goes back to the judge saying, Judge, I found these things. Electronic evidence is going to be huge in this case. So that's apps, that's social media, that's laptops, cell phones, that's all of those things that's going to prove whether or not there was a connection to any of our 4 victims. It's also going to prove things like, or potentially prove things like locations. Were you in the vicinity of homes, residences, work, all of those things to try to prove whether there was a connection to any of our 4 victims' family prior to the incident.
Cell phone towers, the pings of cell phones off those towers, are those actually reliable? Because I've heard that they're not at all.
So it depends. Cell phone towers, the way they work is that it pings, we use the word ping, but it connects off of a location like a north, south, east, west. And how accurate it is going to depend on the actual cell provider themselves. So they will give you the distance from the tower, and it would depend. Accuracy is going to be like, were we in a football field and there was nothing around? You'll get a more accurate ping than if you were in a downtown where there were a bunch of buildings that could interfere with cell signal. So the provider will give you the accuracy based off of direction, distance, and potential interference.
Okay, interesting. I'm sure that we have a lot of really stupid questions to ask you about crime scene investigation.
No such thing.
Okay, here's a really dumb one. How come they're like, well, it's going to take 6 weeks to get the DNA results back? In my dumb brain, as an outsider that doesn't know anything about your profession, I'm like, just take the blood and put it in the computer, and then you give me the answer. Why does it actually take 6 weeks to get it back?
So there are a lot of considerations when it comes to DNA. What you're talking about is the actual sequencing of DNA, which could be relatively quick if we had your DNA and we were comparing we call your DNA a known. We know that it came from you. If we were going to take swabs from your cheek and do a profile, to actually do that would not take that long. Sequencing out the DNA. But then we have, maybe a ball cap that fell off at a crime scene. That's a cue or a questioned item of DNA. Now we need to sequence that out. That would not take terribly long in and of itself. We also have like rapid DNA sequencing, which could take 4 to 6 hours just to do those profiles in and of themselves. So now we have yours and that, depending on how much backlog there is. So backlog is a huge problem in law enforcement because we have just a ton of other crimes that are waiting to get physically onto the machines that run and sequence the DNA. There are also other concerns about things like cost. So certain labs have access to certain techniques of DNA analysis and certain ones don't. So if that agency doesn't have the ability, they can send it to a private lab. Sometimes when you send things to private labs, it comes at a cost. So we've got backlog, we've got cost, we have what agencies actually have access to. And then we have how many profiles are we talking? Did they collect 80 different things to sequence? Do they have 2? Now, we're talking about just the time it takes to sequence. They also have to do statistics. Once they've developed your profile and the baseball cap, they have to say, what are the actual statistics on planet Earth that your DNA could have matched that ball cap? So then they have the actual report writing and the sequencing and the statistics that they have to run. So it can be a little bit long.
Got it. You have to prepare the report. This might be a unique circumstance, but I filled out one of those 23andMe surveys a few years back, and I did the thing where I spit into the tube, sent it away, and then they wrote me back like 2 weeks later to say, hey, there's not enough DNA present in your saliva. Can you please provide another sample? So they sent it back and they're like, make sure to follow the instructions, which I did to the letter a second time, sent that in. They said, you are one of like 0.01% of people that send these in that do not have enough DNA for us to be able to get an accurate read. Does that mean that I can commit the perfect crime?
Nope, sorry. It probably just means that you're a non-secretor.
Oh.
So there are people that are non-secretor.
Add that to the list.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to update my my Twitter profile real quick.
He also has 4
Non-secretor.
nipples.
Thank you, Billy. I do have 4 nipples. I don't think that's relevant to the question that I asked, but yeah. Maybe it is.
So yeah, there's a secretor status or non-secretor. It could mean that you're a non-secretor, but that's just a little genetic thing as to whether or not your DNA profile is found in things like saliva,
blood.
It would be in blood.
Okay, but as far as my saliva goes, I'm a freak.
Yeah, it would be like, is your DNA found in things like sweat or saliva? Would be a non-secretor status.
Okay, interesting. Good to know. I'm just gonna
So
file that away.
Why don't those companies get blood? Because it would be more accurate, wouldn't it?
Well, because then they would rely on him trying to collect blood from himself, and that would just
could
be
go bad.
painful and messy.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm not a trained medical professional. I can spit into a tube though.
Non-secretor though.
Well, apparently I can't. Maybe I'm just not very accurate at that. Yeah, Billy?
Is there any truth to crimes being solved using those Ancestry.com 23andMe databases?
So what you're talking about now, which is the popular twist, and if you ask me, the direction that crime scene is headed is something called FGG, or forensic genetic genealogy. And this is basically the marriage of crime scene and ancestral DNA. And this is something that was basically used in this crime in Idaho.
So it was a relative of Kohberger submitted their DNA profile. Now, would this be to a place like 23andMe, or would it be to a different type? Or am I thinking about that the right way? They send their DNA to a commercial, to a company, and then that company shares their information with law enforcement, and they can use that to make a close enough match to get it within the family.
Yeah, you're sort of thinking about it the right way. That wasn't how it happened in this case. Those sites like, Ancestry and 23andMe, they don't share their information with law enforcement. Like, people aren't thinking, well, if I put that in, I'm going to get a hit to some kind of crime scene. They don't work quite like the CODIS database does. So CODIS is a government-run database. That stands for the Combined Offender DNA Indexing System. So that started in the 90s as a way to collect DNA off of crime scenes and then store that. And as of now, any felony conviction, if you're convicted of a felony, they automatically take your DNA standards when you're booked through jail. That goes into the database so that any questioned profiles of DNA that are found on crime scenes automatically get searched through that database. So a lot of crimes are closed through that CODIS database. But it's not the way that the 23andMe's work. Law enforcement is not just allowed to search profiles that they've obtained through those databases. But what they did in this case was, because they did have a suspect through the entire investigative process, they did look to see how they could utilize DNA to potentially find a match, because they had DNA on the scene. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about in the special on Sunday.
Okay,
I
interesting.
got a question. How up, because our Congress is old, right? So like when you talk about like social media apps and stuff, they kind of don't know what's going on, and they're kind of late on what I feel like needs to be done legislatively with social media and the internet in general. How updated are they on like gene sequencing and stuff like this with laws and the efficacy of getting people's DNA and things of that sort?
Fortunately, I think that's one of the things that they're fairly up to date on. And the good news is if they're not, they rely upon people that are.
Gotcha. Okay.
Big T, you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess to the majority of the public, this case seems fairly cut and dry. I guess from your experience, do you think there's any chance he's not found guilty?
Of course. There's always a chance, right? That's what defense attorneys' jobs are. And I think what we have to do is wait. So we've seen the search warrants. We've seen the search warrant returns come back. We know that they've collected dark clothing. We know that they've collected some potential hairs, including a potential animal hair. We know there was a dog in the house. What we have from the search warrant returns are possibilities at connections. When we talk about crime scene investigation is a triangle. We try to link our victim, our suspect, and our crime scene. We had enough evidence to have probable cause to make an arrest. Now that was just the beginning. The beginning is then the search warrant to now collect evidence from Kohberger's apartments, familial residences, from Kohberger himself. Now it starts going backwards and trying to find evidence of the victims and the crime scene in relation to him.
Would you say that the act of investigating high-profile crimes like this has gotten easier or more difficult over the last 20 years, given the advancements in DNA and also in just surveillance equipment everywhere. It seems like it would be a double-edged sword where there's more resources that you have and more things that you can look at, more avenues, but also so much more information that you have to sift through and make sure that you get it exactly correct. Otherwise, like you said, a good defense attorney, if you make one minor mistake with a surveillance video, they can tear that apart and then, your entire case is gone.
I think time and technology is the hero, right? We have more technology now than we had available. And, through Crime Scene Confidential, I've had the opportunity to talk to crime scene investigators in the past and realize how easy I have it as a crime scene investigator now. When they were investigating crime scenes in, the 80s, even in the 90s, they weren't able to determine if they had multiple blood types on a scene, who was whose. At this stage of the game, we can take a blood swab and determine exactly what individual blood stain was where, and that enables us to track movement of people. They weren't able to do that necessarily then. We have blood presumptive tests that tell us immediately, is this blood or is this something else? So to me, I think technology has made it easier for us, and we're making it harder and harder to be a bad guy and to get away with it. We've got doorbell cams, intersection cams. You cannot make a move these days without it being caught. We've got air tags, we've got cell phones. Basically, people are wearing computers on their wrists that track their movement. It's very difficult. And it's not just what you do that is evidence of your behavior, it's what you don't do. So everybody has a phone. I could not tell you when the last time I turned my cell phone off was. So if I turn my cell phone off, that is just as much evidence of my behavior as if I had left it on. Mm-hmm. And so when we have an individual turning their cell phone off, that tells you something about their behavior.
And that's logged into your phone. Like, you can go back and examine somebody's phone and say, over the past, can you go back like years, however long the phone has existed, and seen, okay, here are the times that this individual turned their phone off?
I believe so. I'm not a electronic evidence specialist. I don't know how far back that ability goes, but and it lines up with other evidence, like those cell phone tower pings. So when you get near the vicinity of a crime scene and your cell phone goes off, that's what we call a clue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the best clue that you've ever found in your personal experience as an investigator? Is there one where you're like, that was a great clue that I found?
So I have a ton of stories now. Suspect fingerprint and victim blood is, universally speaking, the best piece of forensic evidence because it places your suspect at the crime scene at a time where your victim is bleeding. So that is kind of universally known as the best piece of evidence. But I've had a few in my day. I had an armed robbery of a convenience store where the suspect was shot, or the victim was shot, and the suspect left with money from the cash drawer, but he ripped a $20 bill out of the cash drawer. So half of the 20 was still in the cash drawer and half of the 20 was in my suspect's pocket when he was arrested. So we had a fracture match of that $20 bill that went together, half in the suspect's pocket and half still in the cash drawer at the store.
That's a great clue.
Things like that are just beautiful.
Yeah. Billy, you have any more questions?
I think that about wraps it up. So there's no way to commit a crime nowadays?
No, crime scene is based on a low cards exchange principle. And this is hundreds of years old. And it just says that every time two things come into contact, there will be an exchange of elements. So it could be hair, it could be fiber, it could be microscopic, but every time two things come into contact, there will be an exchange. That's the basis of crime scene investigation. That hasn't changed.
I do have a final question. If anybody else has a final question for me, is so I used to play in the NFL, and every time I watch football movies, I'm like, yo, this is the corniest shit in the world, right? Do you watch crime scene investigation series, TV, movies, and be like, come on, fam, that's so bad? Yeah.
So, during my 12-year career as a crime scene investigator, fortunately, the CSI drama TV was kind of at its peak. So everywhere I would go, people would, ask me about CSI and if I watched all the CSI shows, and it's kind of standard. I would ask them what they did for a living and they would be like, oh, I'm a teacher. And I would say, okay, if they made a show called Teacher, would you do it all day and then go home and watch it? And they would go, oh no. And I'm like, there you go.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. That's fascinating. My last question was going to be about Bryan Kohberger's father and how he was in the car as they drove across the country. He went out to meet him, and then they drove back to Pennsylvania together. Have you heard anything about looking into the father more extensively as being an accomplice in that? And how do they weigh whether or not they will charge him after the fact and help? I guess, would that be aiding and abetting at that point?
Yeah, they'll look, I'm sure, into that. But at the same time, you have to consider most family, is it odd behavior for a father to want to drive across the country with his son? In and of itself, I don't find it to be odd behavior. They'll have to look at all the details, surrounding, were there phone calls? Are they at odd hours? Were there text messages or other sorts of exchanges that prove that he was aware of any type of information? Family, especially parents, I think always want to see the best in their children. I've seen it with multiple cases, that, oh, not my son, not my daughter. They're going to defend their children regardless and support them. And that's kind of the role of family. So it'll be interesting to see if there was any awareness of what was going on or not.
All right, great. Big T, you have anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us. It's Alina Burroughs. You can see her. She's going to be on the Idaho College Murders. It premieres Sunday, March 12th, 10/9 Central. You can watch it on ID, or you can stream it the same day on Discovery Plus. Check it out. It's going to offer a critical new perspective into the night of terror in Moscow, Idaho. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye. Alina Burroughs was brought to you by our very good friends over at Sport Clips. Consider this. Not every hairstylist is created equal. Many stylists don't have much experience cutting men's hair, but you don't know it until it's too late. Well, at Sport Clips, all stylists undergo specialized training specifically in how to cut and style men's hair, making them not just stylists, but scissor-cutting scholars, virtuosos of volume, and fade fanatics. After all, it's not just any average haircut. This is the big league that we're talking about, and these are haircutting professionals. So don't hand your bushy old noggin over to just anyone with a pair of clippers. Sport Clips takes cutting men's hair to another level, which is why they truly are the pros in men's hair. All right, so that'll wrap it up for the nanodosing. On Thursday's show, we're gonna do the disappearance of Malaysian Air.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Malaysian Air. There's going to be a documentary coming out, I think, on Thursday.
On Thursday, yeah.
On Netflix, so that'll be good timing for it. So we won't have watched the documentary when it comes out, but there's plenty of other stuff that you can watch out there and read up on it. It's a fascinating case, especially if you're a what's a word for am I an aviation enthusiast?
I think you are.
You're a pilot.
I'm a pilot. That's
You're a
true.
pilot.
I'm a pilot. But if you're interested in mysteries of any type, I would highly recommend studying up on Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. It's a plane that disappeared. Still hasn't been found. Maybe a couple traces of it have been found. But some interesting characters involved in this disappearance, and still trying to get to the bottom of it. So read up on that. Watch documentaries. Do whatever you can. Listen to podcasts.
Wasn't there a couple disappearing planes?
Malaysian Air was there was another one, Air France. Is that what you're talking about?
No, but
They found that one, but it took a long time to find it. Air France was the one that was traveling from Brazil to France, and it crashed in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And that one is just, I've read up on that too. That's when the tubes on the airplane. So on an airplane, when you fly, the pilots need to know how fast it's going, because if it goes too fast, then it can damage the airframe. You can't steer it as well. If it goes too slow, then it can stall out, and you lose lift and you fall down from the sky. And so these tubes that are on the side of the plane, they measure the air that's coming through the tubes and use that to calculate air pressure to determine how fast you're going and your altitude. And if there's ice that gets in there, it can fuck up the entire system and give you bad readings. And so that's what happened to Air France. And the pilots, even though they were told that the plane was stalling, they kept pulling back to make the plane try to climb. And what you're supposed to do is put the nose down, so that way your plane will start going faster, and then it'll continue to fly normally. And most pilots would have known how to handle that. And the guys that were on this plane, for whatever reason, just they got distracted or nervous or whatever was happening. And that's why that one crashed. But that took like, I want to say months to find the wreckage to that one because it was in the middle of nowhere.
In the ocean.
In the ocean, yeah.
Do you remember Malaysian Airline Flight 17? There was like a period where a bunch of Malaysian Airlines.
What happened
planes
with
went
that
down.
one?
It got shot down in eastern Ukraine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, they speculated that was shot down by like Russian
Surface to air
militants,
missiles.
yeah.
Crazy. And then I think there was another, like something about Malaysian Air. Like it was during that time a bunch of stuff happened to their flights.
All right, we'll do some reading on that, and we will see you guys on Thursday for macrodosing. Love you guys.